change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
It's been said that when someone you love has Parkinson's, you have Parkinson's. If you have questions, the Parkinson's Foundation has answers. Learn more at parkinson.org or call 1-800-473-4636.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Big truck accidents can cause life-changing injuries, and life-changing injuries deserve life-changing money. I know big truck wrecks, and I know how to fight those big insurance companies. If you've been hurt by a big truck, contact us at ritchielaw.com. I'm on top of it.
WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and welcome to the Best of the Adam Gold Show. I am not here. I am here in spirit. I'm always here in spirit. So, let's start the Best of the Adam Gold Show with the best general manager the Carolina Hurricanes currently have. Just a joke. Eric Tulsky joined me to talk about a lot of things, including the Jackson Blake contract. Jackson Blake, 8-year contract extension, 5.1 and change average annual value over 8 years, and it doesn't start until a year from now. We did the same thing. The Hurricanes did the same thing with Logan Stankoven, an 8-year deal at $6 million per, which will kick in after his entry-level contract expires. Both of those contracts have one more year left, which means 9 years each for Blake and Stankoven. There is some no trade protection at the back end of these deals, but I think we can all get used to seeing number 22, assuming Stankoven keeps his number, and number 53, same with Blake, for a long time. Gentleman who negotiated these deals and is the general manager of your Carolina Hurricanes, Eric Tulsky, joins us on the Adam Gold Show. First of all, I appreciate you doing anything from your vacation spot. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing very well. And later on, I'll ask you if you plan beach time. But let's get to the Jackson Blake contract, because I was, in a lot of ways, surprised. Not surprised that you would be interested, but in some ways, maybe surprised that Jackson would be interested this early, because he had a really good year. 17 goals, 17 assists. And frankly, those numbers probably should have both been higher, given how snakebit he was for about 20 games. So just walk me through this negotiation, which I'm sure went pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, look, nobody knows what the future holds. And so there's always a little bit of a draw for the player to play it out and bet on himself and see how he does and hope he gets more. There's also some risk to that, right? Maybe he gets hurt, maybe he has a down year, who knows, right? And so when you have the chance to lock in generational wealth, sometimes that's the right play.
Yeah.
And there can be a win-win where the player avoids taking any risk that he doesn't want to take, and the team gets a little bit of a discount for being willing to take that risk, and we get a deal that gives the player lifetime security and gives the team room to keep building and trying to get better.
I know Eric Tulsky is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. I know you said it today on the Zoom call, but I think we saw it early in training camp that Blake did, even without scoring a ton. I think he might have had a goal during the preseason last year, but you could tell the way he plays the game, he just fit. When did you know that he was somebody that you wanted long term?
Yeah, I mean, I think as early as October, we were talking about the possibility. As the year wore on, he just kept taking steps forward. And, he moved up from the fourth line to the top line. He looked effective there. Every challenge he's had, he overcame. And so we felt like if there was a deal to get done, we were going to be happy to do it.
And it sounded like he was also very happy to do it. He bought a boat. I guess it was with the signing bonus. That was a quick turnaround if he bought the boat on Friday. Eric Tulsky is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. When you guys have these conversations, do you think about, like, seriously what his ceiling is, what do you forecast for a player like him?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to set a ceiling for Jackson because every step of the way he's exceeded expectations. He went from high school to the USHL. That's a big jump, and he beat expectations there. He went from there to the NCAA and beat expectations there. He went from there straight to the NHL without playing in the AHL and beat expectations there. And so, who knows where the ceiling is? It's hard to talk about.
I mean,
beat your expectations at every step.
It really was remarkable, and I think my favorite thing about him is that his puck retrieval. I don't know if you keep these, but in the offensive zone to maintain possession in a threatening spot. I mean, if there are stats for this, he would have to rank pretty high.
Yeah, he is a puck hound, and the way we play, it's a very valuable asset to have someone who's as hard on the puck as he is, and as tenacious about getting it back when we don't have it. And he also, he's not the biggest guy, but he gets to the interior and he fights to create premium chances. And so, it's part of what we need for this team is to turn all the puck possession we have into premium chances. And he's part of the answer to being able to do that.
Another guy who also operates pretty comfortably in the middle of the ice, signed a long-term extension a couple of weeks ago, Logan Stankoven, a 6-year deal. How important, how targeted was it when you acquired him that he be the player that Dallas include in that trade?
Yeah, so it's an 8-year deal too.
Yes.
He was a huge piece of that. I mean, when we were talking about who we might get from them, he was the player who we had scouts and coaches saying, if you can get him, you have to. He is made to play for the Hurricanes, and he's just someone we got to go get if we can.
So let me just ask you the difference in these two cases, because Blake's contract has some deferred money. Did you do that because you just wanted to get one more in before it became illegal? And why wasn't that the case with Logan? Is it just the case where player and agent said no? I've talked to Tom Dundon about this, but I know they tried it in the past somewhat unsuccessfully with another player. But walk me through that if you can.
Yeah, I mean, look, every negotiation is different. Player has their own needs and their own wishes. Their circumstances were different in terms of rights at the end of the contract and number of UFA years, and financial situations are different. And it's just they each had different needs. And Jack in a place where this was the deal that made sense for him, and Logan was in a place where we needed to structure it a little bit differently.
Eric Tulsky is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Before we get to Keandre Miller and Nick Ehlers, I truly believe, and I said this many, many times, that you deserved a ton of credit for the big swing in January, and then even more credit for saying, all right, it's not going to work. How do we pivot and still make this team better in the long run? And you did that. The only thing I would say is that unless all of this was cover for acquiring Taylor Hall. So I don't think it was the last, but it was but that whole sequence was really, really impressive to me.
Yeah, I mean, look, a core philosophy for this team, we want to be aggressive, and that's how we play on the ice, and that's how we manage off the ice too. And our goal is every time there's a chance to get better, we want to take that shot. And you have to be aware of the downside in everything you do, but not be afraid of it. And we just believe if we take our shots and take our risks, some percentage of them won't pan out, but we'll still come out ahead in the long run by being willing to be aggressive. And so we did that on the first deal. And, if we had been able to sign Nico, that would have been fantastic for us. It also put us in a spot where, like I said, we need to be aware of the downside and what if it goes wrong. And we knew we were doing it early enough that we had a chance to evaluate it and potentially pivot out of it if we needed to. And we did that, and we felt like we got a good deal in the end that left us in a good place. And we're very happy with where we are and what our future looks like.
I've asked Rod Brindamore a similar question because there is a perception out there that this team isn't aggressive. Does that even though I think everything is to the contrary, does the reputation of the organization in any way bother you, even though we have proof otherwise?
No. I mean, look, we're going to run the team the way we need to run the team. And I try to do media spots to help people understand how we're thinking about it and help people get their head around it. But, everybody's entitled to think about things however they want. And if somebody wants to come to the conclusion that we're not being as aggressive as they want us to be, that's fine. They're entitled to that view.
That is true. It is still America. Eric Tulsky is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. All right, what do you like about K'Andre Miller, even though he's a left shot?
Yeah, I mean, the way he plays, we think is going to be a really good fit for us. He skates really well. He closes out hard. He can be strong in front of the net. He can get to the puck to the net in the offensive zone. Just the things that we ask defensemen to do all seem to come naturally to him. And we think that playing in a system that is tailor-made to his game should unlock a level that we haven't seen before. And we think he's going to be a fixture for us for a long time.
I mean, 6'5", 210 pounds, 25 years old. I mean, that doesn't really grow on trees.
Yep, and the size, skating, and like you said, he's in his prime, and we were able to sign him at a number that we think will be reasonable over the long term. It all fits with what we're trying to do.
Speaking of reasonable, still $10 million. We're going to get to Nick Ehlers in a second. Still $10.5 million under the cap. I think 10.64 exactly under the cap. That obviously gives you a lot of flexibility. What else? What is it? What else is running through your mind? Areas you might want to address.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we didn't have any cap space left. The free agent market dried up a little faster than we hoped to. I would have loved to have been able to use that room to bring in, one or two more high impact players. But it didn't go that way. The free agent market was pretty thin, and so now we will keep poking away at the trade market, see if there's anything we can do before the season. And we're sort of looking ahead and wondering if there's going to be a little bit of a second wave of movement as the season gets going and teams find out that they don't have exactly what they thought they were going to have when they built their roster.
Well, you just said exactly what I've been saying for weeks. There's 31 teams that think they're going to win. Only one, I guess, the Pittsburgh Penguins, that really doesn't believe that this is their year, and it might take 4 months before we figure that out, right?
Yep. I mean, we'll see how it goes, but I think right now a lot of teams want to take a run at it early in the year and see how things go. I would imagine that as the season plays out and some of them realize that it's not going the way they hoped, they will start to look at other opportunities. And we still do have, a lot of future picks and a lot of prospects and a lot of cap space. And so if there are opportunities to add players, we should be able to be aggressive.
All right, 2 more quick things, and then we'll let Eric Tulsky go back on vacation. Nick Ehlers. Took me too long to get to the prize free agent acquisition. Your thoughts on where he fits and why he fits there?
Yeah, I mean, he's an incredibly skilled player, one of the best skaters in the league. He's just dynamic. And again, to the point about we have the puck as much as anybody does, and turning possession into premium scoring chances and goals is the way we keep taking steps forward. And he's a guy who can help us do that.
He's a dynamite player and a good finisher as well. Now, do you have thoughts on potentially any prospects doing a Jackson Blake in the preseason and basically screaming, yeah, we got to keep this guy?
Yeah, I mean, we have, I think, several guys who are right on the cusp. Obviously, Bradley Nadeau had a fantastic season in the AHL last year. I think Felix Unger-Sorum is one big summer away from taking a step like Jackson did. I think we have a couple guys on D who are ready for a call-up at least here and there. Whether any of them actually kick down the doors to be on the opening night lineup remains to be seen. We have a pretty deep team right now, and that makes that hard. But when somebody looks ready, we will find room for them. That is always the easiest problem in the world to solve, that you have too many good players.
Yeah, that's. I mean, if you look at it now, I mean, there's going to be a good player or two or three that there's no room for. And I love the fact that Tyson Jost came back And real quick about Jesperi Kotkaniemi, because I know a lot of people have written him off, but there's center spots available. I know I talked to Rod about potentially moving Seth Jarvis to the middle. I assume that will probably happen in training camp, and we'll see a test run of it. But that doesn't mean that Kotkaniemi isn't part of the opening night lineup at center, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to play out still, but yeah, he's been a valuable piece for us, and the centers are not easy to find right now, and young centers on deals that are very reasonable compared to what free agents are getting right now, like that's an asset, and we're happy to keep looking for ways to get better at every position, not just all the talk is about that one in particular, but up and down the lineup, we're trying to get better at every position. So I'm never going to rule anything out. But, as it stands right now, I see him as a piece.
Do you get relaxing time where you are?
It's never really relaxing. I would say it's about 20% less stressed now than it was a month ago, but it's, there's always work to do.
You don't just turn your phone off and stare at the surf or, I don't know, get some seafood, cook something, do a crossword puzzle?
No, there's not a lot of that going on. Look, there's a lot to do. It's the roster is mostly set right now, but there's still a staff to manage. There's scouts to get ready for the season. There's a lot to do, and that never stops.
You're not allowed to take a vacation. Eric Tulsky, I appreciate your time. Good work on the roster. I will see you in a few weeks, I guess, when everything cranks up.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
When we come back, Carolina football with Adam Smith of Inside Carolina on the Best of the Adam Gold Show.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
You've heard the perfect scores on air. We're bringing our champions to the stage. It's our second annual Numbers Game Live show, presented by Sharky's Place Sports Bar and Grill. Perfect players will compete on August 21st at the fabulous Hilton Raleigh North Hills. Watch on YouTube as we crown a Numbers Game champ. Special thanks to On-Site AV, a full-service event production company, for lighting up Numbers Game Live.
Uh-oh, I think I see the sun finally coming out and just in time for the weekend. I'm Victoria Vodenecker here from 99.9 The Fan for Law Tigers, and I know we've been dealing with a washout this week, but I think we're in luck for the weekend, and we might get a little break from the rain, which I know will make it a prime time to take the bike out before it gets super hot again. And no one ever wants to plan for an accident, but in the case that you are out and about and you ever get in a wreck on your motorcycle, make sure to call my friends at Law Tigers first before calling your insurance company. At Law Tigers, they're riders just like us. They get it. They know the value of your bike and your gear and the investment that you've made. They know what it's like to go through an accident. The insurance company just wants to pay you the least amount possible. So case evaluations are always free at Law Tigers, and you won't pay a dime until your case is settled. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
Are you ready for the ultimate entertainment experience? It's all here, only with Spectrum TV Select. Popular apps are included: Disney Plus, Max, Peacock Premium, Paramount Plus, AMC Plus, and more. And live TV for sports, entertainment, and news. Enjoy across your devices no matter when or where you are. Get Spectrum TV Select and start streaming your favorites today. It's all here. Visit spectrum.com/entertainment. Restrictions apply.
So, you found the one and want to get married? Next step, you need the ring. And not just any ring. The perfect engagement sparkle that exemplifies your love. Bailey's Fine Jewelry is here to help. Our diamond experts, wide selection of high-quality diamonds, and financing make saying I do easy. We guarantee you'll love the ring or your money back. You're invited to see why Bailey's has been voted best place to buy your diamonds. Visit us today in-store or at baileybox.com to find out more.
A few contest rules from sports radio stations The Fan, The Buzz. No purchase necessary, 21 to enter and play. Limited to one entry per person and one prize winner per family or household per contest every 30 days. Employees of Capital Broadcasting, its agencies, sponsors, subsidiaries, other broadcast companies, and immediate families of the above are ineligible to play. Winners are verified, complete documentation, and are responsible for all taxes and prizes received. All prizes are non-transferable and cannot be redeemed for cash. Winners give Sports Radio the right to publicize his or her name, likeness, or voice. Sports may change contest rules and prizes at any time and holds no liability for canceled or postponed events. Complete info of Sports Radio contests available at WRALSportsFan.com or during normal business hours at 3100 Highwoods Boulevard in Raleigh.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it out. Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stinks that just will never come out. Oh, Downy in the rinse straight. Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Fights odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
It's the best of the Adam Gold Show. Adam Gold here. Adam Smith from Inside Carolina joined me last week.
We are about to talk UNC matters, not just football, with the one and only Adam Smith of Inside Carolina. I missed him at ACC football kickoff because he was in charge of, I guess, covering the media onslaught that was always going to follow Bill Belichick. I've been saying this since he was hired. Back whenever that was, December, I think it was, that this will be the most attention ever given to a college football program throughout the season, and it doesn't matter what they do on the field. Adam Smith, Inside Carolina, joins us. How are you, sir? I missed you Thursday in Charlotte. Hope you survived.
Yes, I did. I'm sorry I missed you. It's great to be with you again. Always, AG. Yeah, I was lurking around there, different spots.
Lurking behind potted plants at the Hilton, right?
Yeah, I had to laugh. One of the old-time ACC photographers said during just all that, I don't know what you would call it, hysteria.
Yeah.
He said, it's like the goddamn royal wedding, isn't it? Because he was lined up, in the hallway just to film Belichick going from one room to another.
I know.
And I had to stop and laugh as I was scurrying around because, yeah, I know. We've got video of him walking. We've got photos of him walking and smiling.
What did you make? Adam Smith from Inside Carolina is joining us here in the Adam Gold Show. What did you make of... Like, most of his answers were vintage Belichick. What did you make of really the Q&As that we heard down there?
Well, I mean, I felt like it was pretty much it went pretty much as you might expect.
Yeah.
I mean, Belichickian is a word that I've used before. He will. It's interesting, especially for someone like me who's sort of, in on the ground floor with this. It's interesting to sort of try to get to know him from a reporter standpoint, given all that you know about him and his reputation and all that. I actually asked him down there in Charlotte how he introduces himself to people.
I heard that question. I enjoyed that answer. I mean? Yeah.
Because everyone already knows and everybody already has but he will answer a question if you ask him. It is just going to be in his very Bill Belichick style. It is not going to contain a huge range of emotion. It's going to be in that, what would you say, monotone type way. But he will give you an answer. You just kind of have to listen. It's not going to be theatrical like Mac Brown. It's going to be very different. Everything is very different, as you're very well aware.
Yeah, it's funny talking to the players about that. You could tell that they, like the guys that we talked to, they went from Grandpa Mac, and I'm not being disparaging at all to anybody. Sure. And by the way, I'll backtrack with the first question in a second. To what they're dealing with right now, which is Bill Belichick, pro coach, has seen everything that there is to see in the sport, and a very business-like approach to what is going on. They have really gone from one end of the spectrum to the other. And I think it'll be interesting and fascinating to figure out how all of these guys respond to it. I would imagine Steve Logan used to talk about, NFL football as like grad school to a lot of these guys, because these guys want to learn. It'll be cool to watch a lot of these college kids and how they absorb the institutional knowledge that Belichick has.
Yeah, and the recruits too, obviously.
Yeah.
It's kind of hilarious to see him posing with recruits, if you think about it, it's still mind-blowing, even though we're 8 or 9 months into this thing. And you're talking about, the man has coached nearly 50 years on the NFL level, but he's never coached a college football game.
Right.
He think about all the things he's done, the 6 Super Bowls as a head coach, 2 more as an assistant. I think it's 333 career wins in the NFL.
Yeah.
Still, come Labor Day night, it will be the first time he has coached a college football game. So, I was telling Victoria I need to get my mind right. I've got to buckle up for this because it's coming here. Training camp starts Saturday morning.
Yep.
So we'll be off and running.
Yeah, and the first game is, 3 weeks from Monday, right? No, 4 weeks from Monday. The first game
against Labor Day night.
Yeah, against TCU. Adam Smith from Inside Carolina is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. By the way, all the stuff about Belichick down in Charlotte, I had zero problem with. You have to ask, when you're asking Belichick a question, and you get, honestly, it's the same way with a guy like Mike Krzyzewski. You know that very well. If the question is not asked in a certain way, you allow 2 things. One, you allow him to not answer it. That's just true. You just allow them to not answer it, or you allow them to answer it in a way that doesn't get you what you want. There was a question in that same scrum when you asked about how do you introduce yourself, which is a sneaky, brilliant question, to be honest, because everybody knows who Bill is. But there was a question asked about, what your vision of the future is. I get what my assumed intent was to all right, what do you see 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road? What are you looking for to get there? But the answer was, future for us is, tomorrow's training. Frankly, nobody wanted that.
Go ahead. Right. He said, I think the question was, where do you see yourself 10 years from now? And I was thinking, good God, he'll be 83. But his response was, I don't know where we'll be 10 days from now. But that's the company line. Tough, smart, dependable. It's going to be about stacking good days after good days after good days on top of each other. And that's what it's going to be. Whether he's in a suit as he was with the little BB initials,
nice,
stenciled. So what is it? It's stenciled there on the cufflink area.
Embroidered. Yeah, I don't think it's stencil. I don't think it's a stencil.
Well, you can tell the way I live and dress.
For you and me, it would be a stencil. For him, it's an embroidered thing.
I appreciate you helping me out. Yes, it was embroidery, AG, is what it was. And, whether he's got the power suit on or whether he's got the cutoff hoodie on, it's gonna that is what it's going to be. I'm not sure what a fiery locker room speech from Bill Belichick would look like. I would be interested to know if anybody, like players or anybody else, would give us any insights on that. I do not know. But, the players do like to tell you, the ones that we've been able to talk to, because they've got the ranks closed around there. It's not nearly as open as it was. But they like to tell you that he will slip in a little joke every now and then. Like Jordan Shipp, the receiver, tripped one day, and apparently Belichick told him the grass had tackled him, and everybody just erupted just because you're not expecting him to zing you.
Right.
It's different. I think it's Mac. Mac is 8 months older than Bill, but it's a completely different vibe, obviously.
Adam Smith, Inside Carolina, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Now to the story that has gripped the world since I saw the aggregation of it Friday. I guess it was Thursday afternoon as I was on the train headed back toward Raleigh. And it was your story that the university, when the next round of conference realignment happens, which probably in about 5 years, coincidentally, the the time where it becomes super cheap to leave the ACC based on the settlement of the lawsuit with Clemson and Florida State, that you guys said that North Carolina would pursue a move to the Southeastern Conference. Of course, SEC has to be interested in all of that. I know you're not surprised by the reaction around the sports world. Some people thought it was going to happen this week, and I'm like, you people are nuts. Just read the article. That's all you had to do was read it. But is it any different than it was, say, a year ago?
Well, yes is the answer, and super cheap. I love your use of super cheap, about like my stenciling. $75 million being super cheap on the exit fee.
To universities, they can raise that in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, and I know some people. UNC has been sort of, if you're paying attention, they've been sort of telegraphing this for a couple years now. But to answer your question, yes, it is different now because that settlement that Clemson and FSU reached with the ACC, or the ACC reached with them, however you view it. It has provided UNC with a path, a clearer path in terms of a way to get out if they want to get out. And I don't think I think this is going to be a very emotional decision for some people around there that make these decisions, because I mean, as you very well know, Carolina is a founding member of the ACC. They were there in 1953 in the smoke-filled room at Sedgefield Inn.
Right.
When the lore began. But the settlement is huge. They've sort of allowed, this is my opinion, they've sort of allowed Clemson and FSU to make the most noise and sort of make a mess of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And they have, in my opinion, sort of been sitting back and just, clocking the whole thing and taking notes and formulating some ideas here. And the fact that the grant of right, the media deal that John Swofford, as you know, locked in years ago, that has been viewed as ironclad, is always the word you hear about it. The fact that has gone away is huge. I think Florida State estimated when these dueling lawsuits and all the legal stuff began, I'm pretty sure they estimated that it would cost them $530 million to leave the league. Well, that's not going to be the cost anymore. It's going to go down. It's a decreasing exit fee. If you left in this coming school year, which no one is going to do, it'd be $165 million. Yeah. It goes down $18 million every year. So I think if you're talking about we're last day of July 2025. If you're talking about July 2024, things have changed. And it's all about the money. I mean, I got my neighbors around here, ask me, like, why? I don't want that. And it's all about the money. It's all about the money. Mac used to have a great line. He used to have a great line that he would tell the people close to him that the faculty at UNC, the academics, would prefer to go to the Big Ten.
Yep.
And all of the fans would prefer to go to the SEC, which I always thought was interesting.
Until you get there,
I don't know.
Yeah, until you get to the SEC and you go 2-8 in league play when they go to 10 games. That we have a lot more to talk about, Mr. Smith. Good to have you back on the show. You have I think you're just too short of Victoria's underscores in her Twitter. It's at Adam_Smith_IC. Don't know if that's a Victoria influence or not, but if it
How
is,
could it not be?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Good to talk to you, my man. I'll check in again soon.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Adam Smith from Inside Carolina. Always a fun conversation.
When we come back on this Best of the Adam Gold Show, trade deadline stuff with Elliot Johnson, former big leaguer, next.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, you're more than a policy, you're family. With offices in every county, we're close by when it matters most. Our local agents customize coverage to fit your life. And our award-winning claims team delivers fast, quality repairs. It's no surprise Forbes ranked us the #1 auto insurer in America. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
Turning 65 soon, navigating Medicare can be overwhelming and confusing, but you're not alone. The NC Department of Insurance SHIP program can help. SHIP counselors can help you understand Medicare benefits to make your best choices. Visit ncship.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. SHIP provides free, unbiased help in all 100 counties.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
North Carolina ranks second in the nation in potential agricultural land lost by the year 2040. The NC Forever Farms program supports the preservation of family farms through permanent agricultural conservation easements and has received a record number of applications for 3 straight years. Landowners interested in preserving their working farm through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services can learn more by visiting ncadfp.org.
Ask any college student. If it wasn't for the last minute, lots of assignments wouldn't get done. So if you haven't figured out your plan for college and how to pay for it yet, don't worry, you've still got time. And with the next NC scholarship, you can still get money to pay for most or all of your tuition. To apply, just fill out your FAFSA and you could get $3,000 for community college or $5,000 for public university, and possibly more. See how easy it is to apply at nextncscholarship.org.
Make this your best summer yet by having fun while staying active and engaged. AARP can help. Find AARP events near you by visiting aarp.org/local. That's aarp.org/local to find both in-person and virtual events. You can also learn more about living your best life by listening to AARP Without Limits, wherever you listen to your podcasts.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Open the lid on a carton of Bluebell Homemade in the Shade, and you'll have it made, so to speak. It's a combination of our top-selling homemade vanilla ice cream with a swirl of rich chocolate fudge sauce. Enjoy an instant classic.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
When people put their feet under a table, it means more than just consuming food. Getting the restaurant back open, that meant to the community a lot of normalcy. The public health department checked the wells so that we knew where we could get water that was able to be used.
And it was neighbor helping neighbor, and I'm so proud to work in this little small county.
NC Public Health, everywhere, every day, everyone.
It's the best of the Adam Gold Show. Elliot Johnson joined me to talk trade deadline and a little collective bargaining. What? Yes, Elliot Johnson.
Today is Major League Baseball's trade deadline. And it seems to me that the Padres get it. They're trying to win a World Series. The Mets have added a couple of relievers. The Cubs have added a starting pitcher, Mike Soroka. So there are teams who are trying to win. And there, of course, are teams that are trying to actively not win. That will come up in the second part of our conversation with the one and only Elliot Johnson, former big leaguer. My friend, sir, how are you?
Yeah, baseball's in the air still, Adam. I love it.
All right, let me ask you a couple of questions. And as a Cubs fan growing up, I want to get your thoughts on Ryan Sandberg. We'll do that in just a second. If you look at the trade deadline, is there an area that every team should address if you are trying to win in the postseason? Is there a specific area every team should address?
Well, the easy answer is your bullpen. Okay, if you can upgrade your bullpen, is the easy answer because there's so many guys that are available. It's easy to replace them. It's really you're just trying to make sure you can find guys that can handle big moments. That's really what you're looking for. So the reason why teams go older during that time frame is you want to make sure guys are battle tested. They've been through it before because you don't want to bring up rookies. I can remember. Remember the Cardinals when La Russa started? What was his name? The really really good lefty as a starter. It's eluding me right now.
You're talking about this is it was way pre Tony La Russa. I was going to say John Tudor, but
No.
I don't even know. I mean, the Cardinals have had great pitching over the course of the last 20 years.
Rick Ankiel.
Oh, okay,
so
yeah.
Rick Ankiel. And so Rick, one of the greatest stories of all time. What a great baseball player. What a special guy. He comes back as a hitter and was an unbelievable baseball player for the Nationals for forever.
Sure.
So you're trying to avoid that because not only can you destroy your opportunity to win the World Series, but you can also destroy a very good baseball player. And Ankiel, he could have been, who knows how good he would have been as a pitcher, but testament to him for coming back as a position guy. So you're trying to upgrade your bullpen as much as possible with guys that have been through it, that are ready for it, and that takes a different kind of guy. And I can even remember talking to you about the difference between Jabba Chamberlain versus Fausto Carmona with the Bugs in Cleveland.
Yes,
the
midgies,
the midges, and how much different Jabba handled that versus Fausto. Fausto was like, yeah, whatever, I can handle anything. And Jabba, it obviously rattled him, and he wasn't able to perform out there in that environment. So I think that's the easy place for guys to go. That's why you see such a changing of the guard. I was pretty surprised by how expensive it was to get Duran over to the Phillies. I was pretty surprised with how expensive it was to get Rogers over to the Mets. But that's apparently what it costs to get really good, dependable arms out of the bullpen today.
Yeah, and Rogers isn't even a big strikeout guy. It's under a strikeout an inning, but he's proven late inning reliever, not necessarily a closer, though he does have some of that. And then they got the closer from the Cardinals, who's a multiple-time All-Star, hard thrower, big strikeout guy, but they're all going to set up Edwin Diaz because, to me, the number one determining factor as to who wins in the postseason is how good your bullpen is. Every team doesn't make a difference how great your starting pitching is. You need a bullpen in the postseason.
You remember the Royals winning mix 2015 was they just shortened the game so much because they had everyone in their bullpen that threw 100. Yes. And the game was 5 innings long because as soon as we went to the bullpen, it was over because the 6th inning was Hochevar, the 7th inning was Herrera, the 8th inning was Wade Davis, and the 9th inning was Greg Hall, a North Carolina native. So all of them threw 100. Good luck. If you didn't score runs in the first 5 innings, it was over.
Yeah, and they were just such a solid ball club, top to bottom. All right, let me just ask you about Ron Sandberg now as he passed away just a few days ago. Look, I don't know if he's the greatest second baseman of all time, but I don't know that I could rattle off more than 2 others in his class, Rogers, Hornsby, and we're going back to before we could even watch baseball. With that, I mean, maybe you make an argument for Roberto Alomar. I don't know. But as a kid who grew up a Cubs fan, what are your thoughts on Sandberg?
So I got to take a photo with Rhino when I was like 13 or 14, and I had that posted in my room. It's still there in my mom's house right now. I mean, that's how much we loved Rhino. So, of course, growing up as Cubs fans, of course we loved him. He was a great baseball player. He was, obviously he's a Hall of Famer. My younger brother actually played for him when he was managing in Peoria. Wow. And so what Leon used to tell me was he would stay outside the bus and sign autographs until everyone was done, and then they would leave and go between town to town waiting. So he was just a wonderful human being, always said yes to any autograph opportunity, take a picture. He never took that for granted. And obviously, he made growing up and being a Cubs fan a whole lot better, and I tried to pattern myself after him. My dad hated the fact that he took the first pitch all the time, but you can't argue with the results. He was one of the greatest.
So if teams could sneak one by him, do you remember who he was? He was not an original Cub. He was it was Phillies first. Do you remember the player that went the other way in the Ryan Sandberg trade?
I do not.
Ivan De Jesus, who was a pretty good shortstop, and Ryan Sandberg was just, a rookie at the time of the trade. So it's going to lead me to the next part of our conversation. But yeah, Larry Boa was also in that trade. And that actually was the basis for a pretty good Cubs team that I believe had Ron Say and Keith Moreland, and that was a pretty good team. Today, you're going to see a lot of prospects moved for established players, and everybody goes nuts over the prospect. The level of the prospect, how many prospects you get. Am I crazy, or would I always rather have the established player than the prospect? Not always. 98% of the time, I'd rather have the established player over the prospect. Am I crazy?
You're not crazy. So, did you watch Kershaw was mic'd up recently, and he was criticizing, the prospect return. He's like, he hasn't done anything yet, and so Kershaw is on the bitter end of the spectrum, obviously, because I don't know how much time he's got left playing in the game, but he is on your side of the table. Mm-hmm. I think you could point to a couple of guys. So Michael Brantley was in that CC Sabathia deal.
Okay.
That ended up working out really well for Cleveland. I think you're right, though. The potential, I'll use that word. The potential that prospects have is really what you're hoping to get out of them. But in reality, the established big leaguers, generally speaking, especially because you're trying to win right now, are always going to carry more weight. If you end up losing, that's the disappointing part, because you gave up a lot for future success. But there are times where the minor leaguer that goes in return ends up being extremely good.
It happens.
It does. But David Price going to the Tigers, the return the Rays got, negligible.
Right.
There's so many times where you could go back and forth. AJ Preller, I just saw recently, the trades he's given up versus the trades he's received in terms of just WAR have actually been almost identical. So He's usually wheeling and dealing this time of year. The difference is he always seems to deplete his farm system like Dombrowski does with the Phillies, whereas the Dodgers always have more players that they can always trade away, it seems like, every single year.
All right, Elliot Johnson is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Big picture question. You and I have had this conversation before. Bryce Harper of the Phillies apparently had just short of a dust-up with Rob Manfred, the commissioner of Major League Baseball. He's been going around meeting with teams because we are going to have a collective bargaining agreement negotiation really coming up very soon. And Bryce Harper basically told him, if you're here, talk about a salary cap, you can GTFOH. And it did get a little bit contentious. Bryce has somewhat backed off of that. And now it is bringing out a lot of articles about why baseball needs a salary cap. What would a salary cap do for Major League Baseball?
It would make owners of Major League Baseball franchises more profitable across the board. So one of the things that, you go back and here, I'm going to give a little history lesson that one of the things that gets under my skin. So Ryan Sandberg's teammate, Andre Dawson, was one of my dad's favorites because his arm strength was unbelievable. And I can still remember sitting in the upper deck close to that right field line when a triple got hit, and he threw a ball all the way to third base from that right field line. And it looked like it rose because he spun it so hard. I mean, and, not to talk about Magnus Force and get nerdy, but it was remarkable to see how good his arm was. So we loved Andre Dawson. Mm-hmm. Now, if you read his book, The Hawk, it talks about how he was basically the target of the Montreal Expos, which had a soft spot in Bud Selig's heart, and they colluded against him to be able to prevent him from getting free market opportunity, which he had earned, and he had just been an MVP. And every team matched it. He went to the Cubs and played for $500,000 because he wanted to play in Chicago. And if you read the book, it says because one of the fans at a game he was at said, "We'd love to have you in Chicago." And he said he remembered that. And that's why he picked the Cubs out of the teams that were potential suitors. Okay. So an MVP player turned down tens of millions of dollars just to come to the Cubs for a $500,000 flyer because Bud Selig headed that up. I'm telling you all this to tell you The reason why players don't trust the owners is because you can't trust them. They always bend the rules to benefit them. They rarely are going to do anything in between. And by and large, if you can see that they're pretending to come to the table operating in good faith, you can almost guarantee that they're not. Okay, so and give you an example of how little we trust them. Even if there was a floor, and let's say it was 100 million, okay, and the
Right.
ceiling was 200, whatever it is, the Pirates would likely find a way to determine how they could skirt the rules, take the penalty, and just go ahead and pay their team 25 and just deal with the consequences therein. Okay, so that's why it's always the details that matter the most, and you could almost assuredly we're all preparing basically to feel like there's going to be a lockout here for the next CBA.
Yeah.
If they're using this, that's fine. And I understand there's a growing disparity between the large market teams and the small market teams, Adam. But keep in mind, they're also negotiating that CBA. So they're going to have to find a way to make it work. What they do from a PR standpoint is make the players the bad guy. In reality, it's the teams bickering themselves, and they're going to make the players out to be the bad guys.
I have always argued that labor disputes are not labor versus management. They are the two differing levels of management, that they are the larger revenue teams, because nobody's going to argue that the Angels or the White Sox or the Athletics, when they were in, or their original city, Oakland, nobody's going to argue that those weren't large market teams. They were the second team in those markets. The Mets are the second team, theoretically, in New York. I like to argue that there's not much difference between the Mets and the Yankees in terms of overall fandom when the Mets are good. Met fans come out of the woodwork. But what really is the problem is that you've got a certain number of teams that don't try to win. The Pirates were one of the most profitable teams in baseball in 2024. I mean, I think they made like $68 million profit. They could have taken $68 million and put it into player salaries. They chose not to. You don't have to make money as an owner of a major league team. You could. I mean, the Mets didn't last year. I think the Dodgers might have, but I think I saw where the Dodgers made like $16 million. Right? You don't have to make money. The franchise value always goes up. So I think the Pirates, in terms of turning a profit, don't they prove that it really isn't a salary cap that baseball needs? They just need teams everywhere who are trying to win.
Yeah, I think one of the things that bothers me too, Adam, is the way the CBA is written up now. It incentivizes the tankathon. Basically, the Astros are competitive because they tanked for a number of years. The Cubs, they tanked for a number of years. The Rays had the first pick for forever for a number of years. So I think that there needs to be more incentive to be competitive. Like you see what's going on with, the Black Sox scandal. That black eye is still there. And they obviously make sure that players are giving everything they have to help the team win on any particular day, and rightfully so, right? But there is no incentive for teams to try their best to win every single year. In fact, there's actually incentive for them to go the other direction and tank, so they could potentially be winning later on. It's not working in Pittsburgh, of course. They need to tank a number of years into the future to be anywhere near competitive.
They're well on their way.
Yeah, the Marlins need to do the same thing. I mean, they're nowhere near competitive for a long time. And then, the Braves ended up winning in 21. They've gone the other direction. So none of the deals that they've been doing have really panned out. And, if Acuna's hurt, you can't lay the entire organization on one player. So they've made mistake after mistake. Ultimately, what you find is that it's a very competitive business, and rightfully so. But we would like the same thing to be held, the same standard applied to players, where if you're not giving your best, there's a problem and there needs to be change. There needs to be the same type of incentive to ensure that teams are every bit trying to win as much as the players are.
Final thing, because you mentioned a salary floor of about $100 million. I think it would have to be higher. There are 30 teams in Major League Baseball, and in 2024, in terms of all encompassing, is not just the 26-man roster. It's really the 40-man roster. All encompassing, there were 15 teams that paid out above $150 million and 15 below it. Wouldn't the floor have to be basically $150 million? Because the cap isn't going to be lower than, my guess is, $225. If they were actually going to hard cap it, which I don't think they ever will, but if they were going to put some sort of a cap on it, I would think it would have to be in the neighborhood of 225.
You would hope, but I understand the way that they're going to negotiate is, they're going to look, Manfred, for as much as I don't really care for the man, he's really good at negotiating. He knows what he's doing. He wins. I mean, you just see him walking around. The reason why he has so much confidence to go into the Phillies clubhouse is because he just keeps winning everywhere he goes. So I'll give him the credit for that. I'll give him credit for the pitch clock. A lot of things he's doing are being productive, but if this is the place where he's chosen to dig his heels into, I think he's barking up the wrong tree. I do. I don't think the players are ever going to go for it. So instead of trying this, campaign where he's going around doing this rah-rah stuff, especially Bryce Harper, Bryce isn't going to go for it. He needs to be doing it somewhere else. I mean, I don't know who it's going to be. Maybe, the best Canadian player we've got right now. Maybe he should start there. I don't know. But it's definitely not going to work with Bryce Harper.
Freddie Freeman is the best Canadian player. Yes?
Yeah, but he was born and raised in California. I don't think Freddie's not going to go for it either. Look at the deal he took. He's not going to go for it.
There you go.
So I just don't see it. I don't know how that's going to go, but I think that campaign needs to go ahead and die. To try and make it public, I think is a mistake too.
Elliot Johnson, best there is. My friend, I appreciate your time. We'll talk more ball as we get closer to, I don't know. We're already close to it. It's August. I'll talk to you very soon.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you. Elliot Johnson here on The Adam Gold Show.
Coming up in hour number 2 of the Best of the Adam Gold Show, Tar Heel football, a little Hurricanes hockey, and a lot more next.
Talking sports so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
For all of the hype surrounding Bryce Young and the Panthers offense, I am officially filing a worry, a concern about the Panthers defense. I can't look at the depth chart or the projected starting lineup and find a single starter on defense that I think the Panthers could survive an injury to. And it's gonna happen somewhere.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Looking for a big new game to play? Well, there's no game bigger than the new dino-sized Jurassic Park scratch-off from the North Carolina Education Lottery, which gives you a chance to win up to $200,000 instantly. And if that weren't enough, you can enter for a chance to win an exciting trip to beautiful Hawaii, where you could win up to $1 million. Welcome to Jurassic Park. Adventure awaits. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning are 1 in 4.28. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Adam Gold in studio with my friend Ryan Monsine from the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. Because you guys do everything for the exterior of your home, these things can add up. And there are a lot of people who think, I can't afford this. How can the Aluminum Company make it easier?
Yeah, well, Adam, we have plans that are 12 months, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 12 months, which make it super affordable for people to do anything on their home, whether it's windows, siding, doors, roofing, gutters, any kind of exterior home improvement. The Aluminum Company has financing plans that can fit in your budget and make it easy.
So wait a second. I can get everything done, no interest, and no payments for 12 months?
Yeah, and you get a lifetime warranty once the project's done.
I get a lifetime warranty once the project is done?
Yes, sir.
What about my down payment?
No down payment, no
What?
deposit.
No down payment, no deposit.
No payment until the project's done.
No payment until the project's done.
Exactly.
Where do I sign up? Aluminum Company of North Carolina, aluminumcompany.com.
It's Bo time. Something new just dropped at Bojangles. Take the bold taste of a crispy golden chicken supreme that's been seasoned to perfection, then add dill pickles, Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, and a toasted bun that's great on the go. What do you get? You get a Bo's Bird Dog. In fact, you can grab 2 of them for $5. So when you're on the go, headed to practice, or need a snack, grab a Bo's Bird Dog. Hurry in before they're gone. Available for a limited time. It's Bo time.
There's no time like Bo time, but sometimes it's go time. No time to stop, but the perfect time for a Bojangles Bird Dog. A seasoned to perfection Bojangles Chicken Supremes, dill pickles, and Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, all tucked inside a toasted bun. Great on the go. Try 2 Bird Dogs for just $5 or 2 Bird Dog Combo for just $8.25. Available for limited time only. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's Bo time.
Parenting is hard. Technology can make it harder. The Family Media Plan developed by the American Academy of Pediatrics helps make it easier. Go to healthychildren.org/media plan today to create the media plan that's right for your family.
It's back to school season, and Clorox is donating 2 million disinfecting wipes to classrooms across America. Because back to school means things can get a little bit messy. Just ask second grade teacher Mr. Torres.
Put me and just one Clorox wipe on a team? We can take on crayon smudges, sticky fingerprints on every surface, sneezes on the door handle, juice box explosion by the sink, snack crumbs, and don't even get me started on the bathroom passes.
Clorox disinfecting wipes. Teacher's #1 wipe.
Think about it. Bathroom passes.
Clean feels good. Based on unit sales data.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it.
That one back, that one going, gone!
Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
It's the Adam Gold Show. Best of the Adam Gold Show today. I am not here, but I am here with you. My soul is here. So let's start this hour. The Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers. An unusual marriage. Brooke Pryor, our friend, covers the Steelers for ESPN. We talked about Rodgers and Mike Tomlin. It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. We played it about a week ago. It was in our open. This is Mike Tomlin proving to you that he has game.
It was kind of a bromance, you know what I mean? No, for me, man, I was just excited to get to know the guy on a personal level. And so that's how I viewed it. Man, we had some cool and interesting conversations about football, about life, about where he is in his career and what he was potentially looking for. I slow roasted it, if you will, man. I didn't try to microwave it because I didn't feel like that would be effective anyway. And so I just enjoyed getting to know him over the course of those conversations. And I just felt like if we did it and did it consistently, and lay a nice foundation for our relationship when we started working together.
I mean, if you're friends first, it really forms the basis, the foundation of a true, long-lasting relationship. Single men.
What a great guy. I know.
Right, single men.
I was going to say.
Take note.
You know his wife's happy because he did it right.
My 16-year-old is following those principles. Brooke Pryor covers the Steelers for ESPN at BE Pryor on Twitter. I mean, that's great life advice, isn't it?
I mean, it sounds like he was maybe playing a little hard to get.
A little bit.
Were the Steelers really hard to get, though? I feel like they were pretty transparent that they wanted him. So I don't know if you can play hard to get when everyone knows you need a quarterback and you're really only going after Aaron Rodgers. So it's like a slow roast, but like publicly we know it was in the microwave.
Yeah.
So he was kind of doing both things there.
Everybody has a date for the Yule Ball except for Harry and Ron. And then the Patel twins walked by. Harry got this bright idea. Never mind. How is it going?
I love that.
Thank you very much. How is it going with Aaron Rodgers and friends?
It's going better this week than it was last week and the week before that. Today will be their 12th training camp practice, and we just talked to Aaron Rodgers. And he said that he feels like the offense has been clicking the last couple of days more so than before. And he said, when you first get out of training camp, the defense naturally has an edge, especially in this case where the defense has been together longer than the offense. And it takes the offense a little bit more time to gel, I think, especially in this case when the offense wasn't necessarily all together for OTAs and minicamp. But yesterday there were fewer incompletions. There were 2 interceptions, but neither of those was on Rodgers. One was probably a DPI. The other one, the ball hit Connor Hayward in the face mask and bounced off and into the hands of Patrick Queen. So that was more on Connor Hayward. But yeah, the offense is looking much better. It would also be important to note, though, yesterday, Jalen Ramsey didn't practice. He took a vet day. Darius Slay was limited. Joey Porter Jr. was limited. So not exactly apples to apples comparison there the first week versus the second week, but it's looking better than it was initially.
Has Rodgers' mood, have his media availabilities changed from the beginning to what you just experienced a few minutes ago?
I think so. I think he's more at ease in Latrobe at training camp, and I think part of that is that it's very familiar. It's very similar to the setup they had in Green Bay when he first got there. They were at St. Norbert College there. They're at St. Vincent here. It's smaller. I think he feels kind of more at ease and isn't, as much on guard and trying to find people trying to catch him in something. Like, I feel like when he first got here, he was very much looking for the trap. And I think now I don't want to say let his guard down, but I think he realizes that we're not necessarily trying to do gotcha questions. Like there's a genuine curiosity. And I think that he is settling in a little bit more as he gets more familiar with the team, with the place, with the media. So, he's not inviting us over to his house or anything or to hang out in his dorm room, but it doesn't feel adversarial, and that is nice.
Brooke Pryor is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Well, his last experience with the media was the New York media, which I'm not saying it's bad. It's just so much of it that it becomes, who's going to get the salacious quote or headline or maybe provoke him in some ways. But how much do you think the at-ease nature of Rodgers right now is due to the fact that he doesn't have to, like in New York, Robert Saleh really didn't have any cred with him. Mike Tomlin has cred with everybody because of what he's accomplished as a coach. So there's no power struggle there. We know who's got it.
Exactly. I think that that's a big part of it. I think that it's more like there is a balance of power. And I think that for Rodgers to work here, he has to respect Mike Tomlin as both a peer and a boss in a way. He's the coach. But I don't think that it can be a situation where Rodgers walks in and feels like, he's the smartest guy in the room. I think that if Aaron Rodgers acknowledges that Mike Tomlin knows what he's doing and Mike Tomlin is successful, and clearly he is, we can go on about the lack of playoff success, but I think that because Mike Tomlin has built up that credibility around the league, the two have respected each other from a distance for a while. I think that all of those things create this relationship where Aaron Rodgers doesn't feel like he's superior to Mike Tomlin or anything like that. And so there's not necessarily the power struggle that there may have been in other situations. And even just, a couple minutes ago, he said that he doesn't think this camp is a dictatorship. Like, he wants everybody to come in and come to his room and talk with him and just collaborate. And it just feels like he is much more at ease here than he was in New York.
All right, I want to get to a couple of Brooke Pryor's joining us here. She covers the Steelers. I want to ask you about other things as well, but you mentioned Jalen Ramsey and also Darius Slay. But Jalen Ramsey, I think a few years ago, you could argue that he was the best cornerback, maybe the best defensive player, best defensive back in the NFL. I don't think that anymore, but he's certainly still really, really good. What kind of an impact has he made so far in Pittsburgh's defense?
Yeah, he definitely is still really, really good. And Mike Tomlin calls him a utility back, which I think is a good way to describe him because he's been playing more nickel since he got here with Joey Porter Jr. and Darius Slay on the outside. And Ramsey is a physical guy. He's still fast. He's still strong. I think that he fits in really well at nickel. But we've seen other days where Joey was hurt for a little bit. Slay got a day off, and Ramsey bounced to the outside. Still a very effective outside corner. He also has shifted back and played some safety. So I think that maybe he's not the best outside corner anymore, but I think that he's the best, if not one of the best defenders that can play all three of those positions. And that's what makes him so valuable in this defense.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's stopped being, all right, we're going to put him on an island. He's going to take away half the field or the other team's best receiver. And now we're kind of putting him all over the place, and that's probably a great defense for that. Everything is going well on that side of the ball, I trust. Now let me get your take on the rest of that division. We're going to see Baltimore and the Colts play, I think, tomorrow. That to me, the Ravens are the class of that division. But Does Pittsburgh look at itself as after Baltimore? Maybe that they're not even looking at it as after Baltimore. But with all the problems with Cleveland that Cleveland's having, and Cincinnati still can't get Trey Hendrickson signed. Pittsburgh looks like they're the second best team in that division?
Yeah, I think so. I think that Baltimore is kind of in a class of its own right now, but I don't think anybody in Pittsburgh would say that. But to me, Baltimore has the most complete roster. They return the most talent. They've got Lamar Jackson, obviously still playing well. Their team was built last year and continues to stay built to beat the Steelers. But the Steelers emphasized adding, more physicality up front, adding guys like Derek Harmon. We obviously know about the secondary. So I think the Steelers are better positioned to dethrone Baltimore. But yeah, I think that I don't trust Cincinnati yet. Defense was their biggest issue last year. Without Trey Hendrickson re-signed, it's still a pretty significant issue. And by the way, Shamar Stewart, they got him signed, but he missed so much time not participating while they were waiting for that deal to get done, their first round pick. Like that's not great. You're behind the 8 ball there. Cleveland, I don't know what's going on with their quarterback situation. But I think, if Aaron Rodgers and this offense can play solid, B, C plus football, like the way this defense is playing, I think that they're real contenders in this division.
Yeah, and if you're a contender in that division, then you're a player around the rest of the league. I don't really expect them to finish first, but you finish second in that division, you win 11 games, then you've got a chance to maybe make some noise in the playoffs. Brooke Pryor is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. I know you're paying attention to what's going on around the league. What's your read on what's going on in Dallas with Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones? Jerry Jones had a nonsensical soundbite today where he said, "What's in the mind and what's in the said," and then said, "We don't. Something may happen or it won't." Regarding that, it was just bizarre.
I am thrilled that I do not cover the Dallas Cowboys. I can tell you that because no one is better at making an easy thing complicated. Like nobody ties himself up in knots more than Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. I keep thinking about the fact that he thought what it feels like is he thought he could pull a fast one on Micah Parsons, and it feels more disrespectful to Micah Parsons than the agent by essentially saying, we thought that Micah was, so easy that we could just handshake and look each other in the eyes and we've got a deal. We don't even need to involve those agents. What's that about?
Right.
But Micah is a smart player. If you're not a smart player, you don't get as far as Micah Parsons has gotten, and you wouldn't be commanding the contract that Micah Parsons should be commanding. And the first thing that I thought was, I have an agent, and it's explicitly written in my contract, I cannot negotiate without my agent. Then I would be in breach of that contract, and then I would owe my agent a lot of money. So Jerry is trying to get him to violate his own agreement that he has. I would assume that NFL contracts are similar to media representation contracts. It just feels like the Cowboys are an organization that does things differently from the rest of the league. Sometimes that's good. This is one of those things that it's done this way for a reason. The only people that don't negotiate contracts with agents are people who simply never hired an agent, like Lamar Jackson, and that is the exception to the rule. Cutting out an agent is just asking your player to assume way too much risk, and it's just this league is already stacked against the players enough in terms of who has the power and who, can choose where they go, things like that. Taking away this, it's wrong. It's plain and simple. It's wrong. And Jerry knows it. And I think Jerry was just trying to test the limits of how far he could go. And he has found out, although he will never admit it, that this is a bridge too far.
Yeah, well, you can't tell that to Jerry because he's the general manager as well as the owner, and nobody can do the job that Jerry can do. Just ask him. There's a lot of disrespect going on. Yeah, mistake on Micah Parsons' part, but you mentioned the players in the NFL as a whole. They made their own mistake with their last NFLPA executive director. The Lloyd Howell thing is one of the great debacles in NFL player history. He had no experience in this area. The guy they have just hired as the interim, and I forget his name, has incredible experience in labor law, working for and negotiating deals for SAG-AFTRA in Hollywood. So And he has that experience with the high end, and then also the rank and file. So maybe the guy they hired will end up being the permanent hire. Brooke Pryor, tell Aaron Rodgers we said hello.
I will definitely do that. I will pass that on. I'm sure he'll be thrilled to hear that.
You got it. Thanks, Brooke. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. B.E. Pryor on Twitter. We didn't ask her about the ice cream. I was watching the other day, and like they had a camera on her during the like as they were going to commercial break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Soft serve vanilla ice cream.
I did ask her about it, though.
Oh, did you? What'd she say?
I did. We were talking about that, and I said, while you do that, I'm at the gym, and it's just, it doesn't help anything. I'm still going to eat the ice cream, though.
There you go.
Always pick the ice cream.
Yeah.
Life's too short.
When we come back on this Best of the Adam Gold Show, we'll talk Tar Heel football and Hurricanes hockey with Al Hood from Tar Heel Blog in Canes Country. That's coming up next in the Best of the Adam Gold Show.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Get ready.
Concepcion touchdown, 13 yards. NC State leads North Carolina with 8:01 to play.
College football kicks off August 23rd.
Jones a first down and more. 10-5. They've tied the game.
Bully ball by the Duke offense.
Down the far sideline. Caught at the 10, the 5. Touchdown, Carolina.
On 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Is going to your local bar the worst part of your day? The bartender ignores you, mediocre food, warm beer? Then why go there? Take 5 minutes and drop in at Sharky's, where they'll give you a free evaluation, and you can learn about all the bars that you shouldn't go to. Sharky's has helped thousands find the right bar to hang at. What are you waiting for? Sharky's evaluation could be the cure to the worst part of your day. Change your bar, change your life. Sharky's, 5800 Durley Road by the Shell Station.
Give me a mountain with lots to do. Give me something simple and true. All I need is sunshine and a cool, refreshing Mountain Dew. Yes, give me my good friends. Give me a dew.
Grab some ice-cold Mountain Dew today.
Mountain Dew.
Get ready for UB40 with special guest The Fix live at Cocoa Booth Amphitheater on August 24th. Tickets at etix.com.
The aftermath of Hurricane Helene left many in western North Carolina feeling lost, their homes damaged or destroyed, and their lives upended. But there's good news. The new Division of Community Revitalization is here to help with the Renew NC Single Family Housing Program. The Renew NC Single Family Housing Program offers home rehabilitation, reconstruction, and mobile home replacement options for eligible families with homes damaged by Hurricane Helene. If your home was damaged, you may qualify for recovery assistance. Don't wait. Call 888-791-0207 or visit renewnc.org to apply now. That's 888-791-0207. Renew NC. Rebuilding homes, restoring hope.
Sponsored by Patriot Relief Inc. and NC Association of Broadcasters in cooperation with the station.
Hi, Zoe Saldana. Welcome to T-Mobile. Here's your new iPhone 16 on us.
Thanks. And here's my old phone to trade in.
You don't need a trade-in. When you switch to T-Mobile, we'll give you a new iPhone 16. Plus, we'll help you pay off your old phone up to $800, and you still get to keep it.
There's always a trade-in.
Not right now at T-Mobile.
I feel like I have to give you something in return for karma.
That's okay.
I don't really have much in my purse. Oh, let's see. Juice box. I'm a mom.
I'm good. Seriously.
Let me check. Oh, hot sauce. Take it.
Really, I'm fine.
Oh, I have raisins. A balloon. Wait one sec. I've got cupcakes in the car.
Switch to T-Mobile. Get a new iPhone 16 with Apple Intelligence on us. No trade-in needed. We'll even pay off your phone up to $800.
With 24 monthly bill credits, new line, $100 per month on Experience Beyond. Finance agreement $829.99 and qualifying ported. For well-qualified plus tax and $10 connection charge. Pay out via virtual prepaid card. Allow 15 days. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. See T-Mobile.com.
JTV Jewelry Television knows you love to sparkle, so now's your time to shine like the star you are. Enter JTV's Shine Like a Star Sweepstakes for your chance to win $5,000 in dazzling jewelry from top brands, including Rachel Zoe Jewelry and Judith Ripka Jewelry. Plus, Just for entering, get $30 off your next qualifying JTV purchase of $99 or more when you opt in for emails. Enter now at jtv.com/likeastar. And remember, if you love jewelry, you'll love JTV.
Best of the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Tar Heel football. We know who the quarterback's going to be, right? Let's talk about it with Al Hood.
Al Hood, Tar Heel blog, and of course Canes country. We might talk a little Canes here in a second. At Al B Hood on Twitter. All right, let me ask you this question, sir. Bill Belichick said yesterday, I think it was yesterday, might have been the day before, don't really know who the starting quarterback is going to be.
Yeah, those watching on YouTube probably saw me roll my eyes a little bit. You don't make the play that you made for Gio Lopez unless your plan is to keep him and basically not even keep him, start him. He has the experience to be able to be a Division I starter. He gives you the most options as a Division I starter for an offense where a lot of stuff you just don't know. He gives you more mobility. He gives you more ability to be able to save plays and just keep going down to down than you would with Max Johnson, who it's amazing that he's been able to recover from the broken leg that he did. The fact that they revealed we were reminded that he almost lost his leg in that gruesome injury last year. And the fact that there's even a talk of him having the opportunity to start and to play is remarkable. And I wouldn't put it past Belichick to actually have Johnson out there for a couple of plays, depending on the situation. It's college football. We don't know fully what to expect with him. But I just don't see how you spend the money, especially now that that's a factor. I don't see how you spend the money unless and you send Lopez out to ACC media kickoff unless your plan is to have him be your starter.
Well, last year they sent both actually they might have sent 3 quarterbacks to football kickoff last year. They sent Max Johnson. They also sent the kid that's now at Charlotte. Right? They said Blake Harrell? No, I just named the ECU coach. My fault. I forget his name, but they said he was, by the way, his dad, again, I'm sad that I don't remember his name, but his dad was a clothier in the Charlotte area, like actually made clothes, and he was absolutely hooked up. But so they sent 2 quarterbacks last year. So, but I agree with you. This is an NIL situation for me. That you didn't pay Gio Lopez to come here. You didn't entice him here based on not being, like, I'm not saying you promise him the quarterback, but at the very least, it's got to be his to lose, no?
No, exactly. That's the main part. It's that if he is not the starter, then it's very clear that something just didn't jive with the way with what was expected. And if that was the case, then why is he even going out to ACC kickoff? Why is he speaking glowingly about the opportunities and everything that he's getting? And not to mention, if you're trying to turn Carolina into the pro system, you're trying to make it college football's pro football, what sort of impression are you making on future recruits and future prospects by paying the guy, recruiting the guy, getting the guy over here, and then immediately benching? It's just, but for the strategic purposes, for the planning purposes, I completely get, you alluded to it, I completely get why Belichick isn't going to tip the hand on it. We wouldn't expect that from we would expect that from most college coaches at this point. And Belichick, anybody who is even a remote NFL fan knows this was the type of stuff he would do. It wasn't until halfway through Brady's career that he would acknowledge that Brady was the surefire starter. So, this isn't that much of a surprise.
No, Bill is playing games. I do find it funny. He was talking as though he had this dilemma every year in training camp. It was just very funny to me. I'm like, we had Brady for like 16 years. So, and I guess toward the end, Bill was not necessarily tired of Brady, but he thought the Patriots should have moved on sooner. The Super Bowl one in Tampa Bay really showed that, man, if you put players around him, that guy can still get the job done. But the Patriots didn't have those players to put around him in the latter stages. Al Hood, Tar Heel blog staff writer, also Canes country staff writer. We'll get to the Canes in a moment. Who and I'm going to assume Gio Lopez here. Who or whom will Gio Lopez be throwing the ball to? Whom will he be handing it to? That, to me, will determine everything not everything, but a lot of what Carolina is able to do on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, the lucky part for Carolina is that out of all of the changes, all of the things that have happened and all of the roster churn that they've had, the two places where they are pretty well consistent is going to be both running back and wide receiver, especially running back. Damian Goss is the one who is everybody's kind of looking on as the person who will probably take on the majority of the carries for Carolina. He got the start last year in the Fenway Bowl. And now when Freddie Kitchens was the coach and now Kitchens is the offensive coordinator. So it kind of makes sense that link would kind of go on. But you also have Caleb Hood, who after the Fenway Bowl went into the transfer portal, but then has said specifically in interviews that after speaking with the coaching staff and reflecting on it, that he felt like he was still going to get an opportunity at Carolina. And I think most fans hope that he finally succeeds because he came into Carolina as this heralded recruit. He's not a relation, by the way. And he just has had such bad luck with injuries. The opportunities have been there for him. But I do think between him and Goss, what we may see more from this Carolina offense, my Tar Heel blog partner, Evan Davis, put this out there. That both he, but especially Hood, may have a really good chance in not just the running back, but the swing out routes, being able to catch the ball from someone like Lopez, that being able to get beyond that line of scrimmage and being able to be an attractive pass catcher for those short yardages that way. They're both built to be able to handle it and be able to take the passes going in that direction. So, and we may see more of that in this type of system when you've got your wide receiver options aren't quite as plentiful. I mean, you've got Kobe Paysor, who's probably the big guy that you're going to be looking at on the receiver option. The tight ends section is the one that took a large hit, and it's not because of transfers. It's just because of attrition. They all finally graduated. So if there's one area where where fans can at least be optimistic, I think it's going to be in the running back section.
I think 25 players who played in the Pinstripe Bowl, not in the Pinstripe Bowl. 25 players who played in the last game of the regular season against NC State, and just 25 players are on this roster. Something crazy.
Something like 65 new players on this roster right now. I mean, the churn is. The churn is something. It's what but it's also what they hired him for. I mean, It was understood that they wanted the pro operation. They wanted a general manager who's going to go through, and the numbers that have been reported out there for what Carolina's football budget is between NILs and now the revenue share is it's astronomical. It's just what's going to be interesting is how Belichick, I mean, he did allude to it in all of that coach speak. He did talk about the fact that, and you hinted at it in the last segment, we just don't know how everybody's going to react to everything until they actually play a real game. And in this case, that real game, unlike the NFL, is going to be prime time, the only football game going on in front of everybody. I'll be interested to see the ratings in the Boston area for that game too.
Oh, the ratings are going to be massive. People think I'm crazy. I'm not. I don't think I am. I don't think there has ever been or will ever be more attention paid to a college football program than will be paid to North Carolina this year, because everybody at the NFL level, they want to see Bill. They want to see what this project is going to be like. I caution people, even though the schedule's relatively easy, I think if they go 8-4, I think that would be a really good year. And I know people are thinking about double-digit wins because of the schedule. I think there's enough losable games. We have no idea what the talent level is like. I'm looking at the two deep in the depth chart, and there's like 7 guys in the two deep on defense that were here last year. We have no clue what this is going to be like. All right, final thing for Al Hood, at Al B. Hood on Twitter, Blue Sky, Tar Heel blog, also Canes Country. Jackson Blake signed his contract. 8 years, just over $5 million, 5.11 in terms of the average annual value for a cap hit because there's deferred money. Logan Stankoven, 8-year deal, $6 million per. Give me your thoughts on what the Hurricanes did where they are right now.
I mean, I think they line up with pretty much how everybody feels. I would like another. I'm not thrilled at the idea of someone like Seth Jarvis being the 2C. That's the area that they're missing right now, is having like a true good 2C. But how many NHL teams right now would love to have a true good 2C right now? It's just not available. So you take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you. And, it's hard not to just love where the Canes position is at this point. They only have one restricted free agent at the end of this season now that's on the books. If I remember correctly, it's just Nikishin.
Yep.
And I find it really hard to believe that deal isn't going to get done before the end of the year, because you don't go through what you went through to get him over to the United States and play, or to North America and play, unless you have at least some understanding as to what the contract is going to be. I mean, no, legally they can't, but
no, I think they could. Like, he only has one more year left on his deal.
Well,
I think they could sign him now.
I would say before he signed, but at the same time, the other carrot is going to be that 8 years. This is the last year they can sign that 8-year extension for him. So, the Canes are going to be motivated to try to do that, just like they were with Blake, just like they were with Stankoven. Also, the last year they can do the deferred money, which we saw with the contracts. It speaks to the level of how good of a general manager that Tulsky is to some extent, when they were like, oh, this thing that you discovered that you could do, we need to outlaw that in the next collective bargaining agreement. But, there's no reason for fans not to be excited about it, because for the first time in a long, maybe ever, this team has a core of really good to great players that are going to be around for a long time. And that stability with the rising cap just gives the team so many options in terms of trades to fill out the roster and just consistency while other teams are going through their churn. It's so weird to think that a decade ago that making the playoffs was just such a big deal, and now there's no reason not to expect the playoffs for this team for the foreseeable future going forward, just because of the length of time that this core is signed up for
at least the next 4 years.
Yeah.
Andrei Svechnikov's 4 year, and it's probably longer, but in terms of core players being signed, basically for the next 4 years at least, they're all here. It is they're still relatively young. You got Blake, who's not even yet 22. Maybe he's 22. Stankoven, 22. Ehlers is not old. Only a 6-year deal. That was curious to me. But yeah, their core is set up. I'm with you. I'm trepidatious about Jarvis in the middle, because I think he'll get the first crack at it. But I also don't know that he won't be good at it, because he's been good at everything. So
I just don't like the where. I mean, we already know he's basically about playing through an injury at this point that he's not going to get surgery on. I'm just not a fan of the wear that playing that position with how he plays will put on him throughout the course of the season. I'd like them to be able to do it. And, I think the truth of the matter is, and this is not going to be breaking news for anybody with the Canes, it's that there are a lot of teams, there were like no moves made across the entire league, because so many teams feel like that they have a great chance of winning.
31.
First few months, first couple of months, a few teams are going to get woken up about how actually competitive they are, and may start looking ahead to the draft and realizing maybe it's time for them to kind of change their priorities. And I think that's kind of what the team is banking on too, that there will be some other opportunities, even though they'd like to be set now. I mean, you can't make a move just to make a move.
No, reality will set in by Thanksgiving. Al Hood, Tar Heel blog, Canes Country, staff writer for both. He wore a Carolina hat for this. I appreciate your time, my man. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Adam. Talk to you soon.
You got it.
When we come back on this Best of the Adam Gold Show, I've called this new era of college football the era of lawsuits. We're going to get into that with Sam Ehrlich, a professor at Boise State, former lawyer, who's got a very interesting idea, and he's putting it to work. We'll talk to Sam Ehrlich next.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Are you taking care of someone on Medicare? Navigating Medicare can be overwhelming. You're not alone. The NC Department of Insurance SHIP program can help you figure out what steps to take and when. SHIP counselors can answer your questions. Visit ncshiip.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. SHIP provides free, unbiased help in all 100 counties.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
North Carolina ranks second in the nation in potential agricultural land lost by the year 2040. The NC Forever Farms program supports the preservation of family farms through permanent agricultural conservation easements and has received a record number of applications for 3 straight years. Landowners interested in preserving their working farm through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services can learn more by visiting ncadfp.org.
Ask any college student. If it wasn't for the last minute, lots of assignments wouldn't get done. So if you haven't figured out your plan for college and how to pay for it yet, don't worry, you've still got time. And with the next NC scholarship, you can still get money to pay for most or all of your tuition. To apply, just fill out your FAFSA and you could get $3,000 for community college or $5,000 for public university, and possibly more. See how easy it is to apply at nextncscholarship.org.
Make this your best summer yet by having fun while staying active and engaged. AARP can help. Find AARP events near you by visiting aarp.org/local. That's aarp.org/local to find both in-person and virtual events. You can also learn more about living your best life by listening to AARP Without Limits, wherever you listen to your podcasts.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Open the lid on a carton of Bluebell Homemade in the Shade, and you'll have it made, so to speak. It's a combination of our top-selling homemade vanilla ice cream with a swirl of rich chocolate fudge sauce. Enjoy an instant classic.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
We had to exit the home pretty quickly because of how quickly the water came in. It was just really vital to me whenever all the public service announcements were going out, that we needed to get our water tested.
We need to, get in the field and start helping people disinfect their water supplies.
It's really critical to their health to be able to have that safe drinking water.
They were reaching out to me to make sure that I knew that there were resources available.
NC Public Health, everywhere, every day, everyone.
Experience a day of discovery at the world's largest natural habitat zoo located in Asheboro. North Carolina Zoo and Botanical Gardens offers miles of shaded pathways, engaging activities and nature trails, and award-winning educational programming for all ages. Encounter wild animals, flourishing plants, and extraordinary beauty as you explore the ancient Uwharrie Mountains in the heart of North Carolina. Every visit helps save wildlife and wild places. Plan an unforgettable journey at nczoo.org.
This is the best of the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Sam Ehrlich is at Boise State, but he's more interested in cataloging college lawsuits against the NCAA. It is a great, great concept, and let's talk to him about it right now.
So a lot of people know that I spend maybe too much time online, social media, whether it's Twitter or Blue Sky. And I came across a tweet recently that made me laugh. And it comes from a Sam C. Ehrlich, who happens to be an assistant professor at the Boise State School of Business and Economics, also a lawyer.
And he says, finally ready to announce my winter break project that some of you already know about. I've created a website to keep track of all of the court cases shaping college sports, introducing the College Sports Litigation Tracker. My response to that was, you're going to have to hire a staff. Says Sam Ehrlich, assistant professor at Boise State, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Do you have an Indeed account that you can go out and find people to help you cull all of these lawsuits? What's our number at right now?
It's a lot. It is a lot right now. I think we're probably about 50 right now, because, I mean, I did not, when I started the website, and thank you so much for having me on the show, by the way. When I started the website, I did not anticipate the absolute flood of eligibility lawsuits that have happened. I figured I'd be tracking the House case. I figured I'd be tracking kind of, some of the ripple effects from that. But then when Diego Pavia won his lawsuit back in December, and then 29 other lawsuits were filed along the same lines, I thought, oh man, maybe I do need to take Adam's advice and get a staff.
I don't know if you're hiring or not, but you can follow him on Twitter at Sam C. Ehrlich. By the way, Diego Pavia is the Vanderbilt quarterback who spent a bunch of, I think, time at JUCO, right? Before ultimately getting to Vanderbilt. Tons of things. First, I hope you have enough bandwidth. So I'm going to broad brush this. Do you have a favorite of the lawsuits that have been filed?
I think I do. And actually, in relative your neck of the woods, there's one that was filed by a tennis player,
yes.
Reese Brantmeyer. The UNC tennis player. She later added Texas tennis player Maya Joint to her case as well. And this case is just absolutely fascinating. This case is so incredibly interesting because it's not a football player. It's not a basketball player. It's not someone in one of these high-revenue sports, but they're attacking this rule that, to me, makes absolutely no sense in the NIL era. It makes absolutely no sense now that we're doing revenue sharing. It's the rule, for those unfamiliar, it's the rule that says that tennis players and other athletes, though they're really just restricting it to tennis players right now, make money on outside competition. So if Miss Brantmeyer were to compete in the U.S. Open, for example, she would only be limited if she won the U.S. Open. She'd only be limited in terms of prize money to the expenses that she had to pay to actually compete in the event. They're reasonable expenses, and her complaint, going through it, the NCAA has just been so very hardline on it. They required her to pay for half a hotel room because her mom stayed with her. Just some really ridiculous stuff in a rule that it's really questionable why the NCAA is even enforcing it in this day and age.
Sam Ehrlich is joining us here in the Adam Gold Show. I had that written down because this whole case, I've been talking about this for a while because it actually started, and I think it's class action now as well, but it started with bringing other sports into the equation, even though it probably didn't need to, because we have, college players compete in the U.S. Open in golf and the U.S. Open in tennis. We had a college player win a PGA Tour event last year, Nick Dunlap, who was at Alabama, and had to choose between accepting the prize money and turning professional or staying an amateur, letting the prize money sit there, but still, kind of, I guess, gathering in a lot of the perks that come with winning a tournament. But it doesn't make any sense, and I've asked this question on Twitter. I've asked this question on the show. If you can get $100,000 for putting a Nike swoosh on your tennis shirt during the U.S. Open from Nike, why can't you also take the prize money that comes with advancing? Because she I think advanced in the U.S. Open maybe around a few years ago. That's where this whole thing started. She is scheduled to play in it again. So she's going to play, I believe she starts in the main draw next week. So it doesn't make any sense, you say, in the NIL era. You can earn endorsement money from playing in these events, but you can't take prize money. That makes zero sense. It almost seems to me like the NCAA is caught between the way they used to be and the way they have to be, and they can't quite get all the way there.
I think that's a perfect way of putting it. And I think that's exactly what's going on here, where they're very adamant in saying that athletes cannot be paid to play. They cannot be paid for athletic performance. They cannot be paid for wins and losses. And that all the rules and all the rule changes still align with that. Except when you look at the House settlement, when you look at revenue sharing, when you look at the fact that you look at collectives over the past 4 years, yes, there's some, kind of really kind of questionable ties to some kind of NIL deal where maybe you're doing a tweet or an Instagram post for $100,000. And it's like, okay, well, that's why we have this clearinghouse that's going after, whether it's a valid business purpose or whether it's a reasonable range of compensation for the particular services. But even if you look at revenue sharing, and that's not something controlled by the clearinghouse, it is so very clearly pay for play. It is so clearly based on pay for play. So they're holding on to this amateurism ideology. They're holding on to this idea that college athletes are still amateurs. But the reality just doesn't reflect that anymore. And I think that's probably how it's going to play out in the Brandmeier case as well.
So you talk about the College Sports Clearinghouse, which or commission, I don't even know what it's called, which is going to determine whether or not money you get from a collective is for a legitimate business purpose. It's got to be for a for-profit business. I am curious. I don't even know if this case has come up yet, but is there a workaround where the university, where the collective could say, all right, these players are doing, posts on behalf of the athletic department, which is a for-profit entity, although technically I guess it isn't. I don't know, be a representative of the athletic department because I don't know who's even going to make these determinations. They're certainly going to be random, aren't they?
It kind of, it really kind of is, just because the Deloitte algorithm that's being used by the College Sports Commission to determine this reasonable range of compensation is so incredibly opaque. And the rules regarding whether it's a valid business purpose are very up in the air and very, very undetermined right now. I mean, they just came out a few weeks ago saying no collectives in general, just based on what a collective is, it can't count as a valid business purpose. And then they had to reverse it because the House Class Council, threatened to sue them over it. So, I think we're still trying to figure out a lot of that. But really, there's kind of a distinction here. And I think for your hypothetical for, having it based on kind of promoting the university, that would probably count towards the $20.5 million cap. That's how the CSC would see it, because you're performing services for the university. But I think there's a lot here that we still have yet to determine. I think one thing that they said regarding collectives is if that the collective, kind of facilitates a deal for the athlete on behalf of another entity, that one that has a valid business purpose, that's okay. So trying to figure out the contours of that, we're still very new on this. We're just over a month into this new era. I think we still have a long way to go in figuring that out.
I'm going to put a pin in the word cap because I want to get back to that with our next line. But I am curious. Let's just say there's a sub shop in the college town that donates some money to a collective. Does the collective, who then turns around and pays an athlete, let's just say $250,000, and this athlete is going to do some social media posts or maybe does an autograph signing outside the sub shop, does it have to be identical to the money that was, contributed by the sub shop, or can it be for anything?
I think the CSC and I would probably give very different answers on that. I think the College Sports Commission would say yes, and I would say we don't really know yet, and that's not something that's really outlined by the terms of the settlement. And it may be something that goes to an arbitrator if it's denied by the CSC, because they may be pushing the bounds of their authority a little bit. Again, still a lot that we have to figure out on this, and we'll see. I guess is the best answer for this.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. The NCAA, I think you'll agree on this, Sam. The NCAA didn't do a great job of policing pay for play, whether it was during the NIL era or before, when it was all under the table, underground, when these were all obvious violations because the athletes were not allowed to earn any money. Now let me get back to cap, because I am curious. I don't know if there's a category for this on collegesportslitigationtracker.com. How many of these lawsuits are antitrust in nature? Because putting a cap on earnings that isn't collectively bargained, isn't that antitrust problem?
It is. It is. And to answer your question about how many of the lawsuits are antitrust, I'd say probably more than half of them. There's a lot of federal lawsuits out there. There's some breach of contract lawsuits out there, but antitrust is by far the dominating force in college sports over the past probably about a decade at this point, ever since the O'Bannon case in 2015. But yeah, and I think you put it perfectly, because having a cap, as my friend and colleague Mark Edelman has put it, in fact, listened to a great presentation he did last week at a conference, a cap is still an antitrust violation. It doesn't matter whether you are paying them zero or assigning a cap of $0 as it was before, or $20.5 million or $500 million or $1 billion. It's still an antitrust violation if you have this cap, if it's not collectively bargained, which would give it this antitrust immunity.
Mark Edelman, by the way, okay, finish your answer. Finish your answer.
I was just going to say, the issue with athletes filing a lawsuit over this cap right now is that the House settlement does give the NCAA and the CSC some protection over this, because the athletes are giving up their right to sue over this, or at least pushing their ability to sue to arbitration or to the special master who's been assigned by Judge Wilkin in the Northern District of California to oversee these cases. But unlike with salary caps in the NFL or the NBA, we have collectives, we have third-party boosters, we have these third-party entities that are bound in no way by the House settlement. So it's only a matter of time, I think, before they file a lawsuit over this cap, and it'll be really interesting to see how that goes.
And it's an assumption that if an athlete goes to a school that has opted in, the athlete has also agreed to opt into these rules, much like the old assumption was that if you got a scholarship, you allowed yourself to be bound by the rules, as antiquated as they were, of amateurism. Do I have that right?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Real quick, the executive order that was signed by the White House, which I believe was entitled Saving College Sports, not quite sure that's happened. How much does this also protect, or does it do basically nothing that hasn't been done already?
It's really up in the air right now. And I hate to keep defaulting to we'll see, but that's also kind of the answer here as well, because I see the executive order as more of a toolbox, more of a here's the tools that we're giving these various agencies, the Department of Education, the Federal Trade Commission, the National Labor Relations Board. We're setting them instructions, we're giving them instructions, we're telling them what to do in these particular situations. But until those agencies actually act, and if those agencies actually act, I think is a critical part of it. If they don't just kind of just ignore it or kind of have other priorities, because these agencies have very commonly shown that they have other priorities. For example, the Federal Trade Commission has had governing authority over sports agents in college sports for several years, and they've never done anything about it. So we'll see what happens with it. We'll see how hard President Trump and these agencies actually push on this. It does give them a lot of power. A lot of the power is very much kind of nuclear option type of territory, like taking funding away from schools.
Right.
But it's also questionable how much investigative authority they're going to have over this, how much they're actually going to be able to look into potential violations here. And also just the fact that the executive order is pretty vague in a lot of ways, where it's going to be very questionable of how much can actually be done in this space.
It just seems to me like they're just going to be like a bad offensive line and just kind of gum up the works and maybe just get run over slowly, just to kind of delay the process. I don't know. I agree with you. We'll see how this is going to work. Two very quick things. Collective bargaining would solve this problem, correct?
Hypothetically, yes, but there's a lot of barriers to get to collective bargaining.
Sure.
There are a lot of barriers here. For one, federal law does not allow public employees to bargain. It has to be done through state law, and a lot of states are very inconsistent about whether they allow public employees to bargain. And obviously, a lot of college athletes, if they were to be declared employees, would be public employees since they are at public schools. And there's also the fact that, well, to have collective bargaining, you have to have a union. You have to have athletes who want to bargain. And at this point, I don't even see why athletes would even want to bargain. Just keep filing lawsuits.
It's probably true. It's funny. I had a debate with Doug Gottlieb not that long ago about collective bargaining, and he goes, "Why would the athletes do it? They already get everything they want." I'm like, "It's for the schools, Doug. The schools want certainty. It would help them." He couldn't wrap his mind around the fact that it would work both ways. And you at Boise State, I'm going to guess, and this is the first time you and I have had a conversation, I'm going to guess that you're a football fan.
I think that's reasonable to say, definitely.
Do you think we're headed, maybe in the near future,
to where football separates from all the other sports, and then they can legitimately just stop pretending that it's not pro sports and just be a minor league for the NFL?
I don't know if I'd quite term it as a minor league for the NFL, but maybe that's just my perception of like minor league baseball, for example, as being very clearly inferior to Major League Baseball in a lot of ways. Though I do enjoy minor league baseball games quite a bit. I do think we're headed towards some kind of separation. I think it just has to happen where the rules that are being applied here and the challenges that are happening here, they're so football focused. The rules are so the NCAA has been trying to apply these rules across all the different sports, and it just doesn't really work. I mean, we just talked about the Brandmeier case, for example. And I think that's a really good example here of rules that work for football to a certain degree, and maybe work for tennis. Maybe the NCAA wants to apply it for tennis, but you look at what's happening in football right now, and it makes absolutely no sense. So I think for the NCAA to survive as an enforcement entity, to continue to do what they want to do in the sports that they really spend the majority of their time on, especially considering that they don't control FBS college football anymore. It's all controlled by the CFP. Maybe the NCAA needs to kind of just take what they have and cut off the limit at some point and allow football to kind of do its own thing and allow football to be its own thing and have its own rules. And maybe that's exactly what the College Sports Commission is kind of gearing us towards. Sam
Ehrlich, an assistant professor at Boise State and the man behind collegesportslitigationtracker.com. You're going to need more bandwidth. I've been looking through. You have broken down by category. There's Title IX cases. The Reese Brandmeier case is, I believe, the fifth one down from the top at the very top of the page. You and I are going to talk again as long as you'll allow it. I appreciate your time. Go Broncos, and maybe we'll just talk football one time.
That would be great. Yeah, anytime, Adam. Thanks so much for having me.
Hour number 3 straight ahead on the Best of the Adam Gold Show, and we are going to talk TV next.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
For all of the hype surrounding Bryce Young and the Panthers offense, I am officially filing a worry, a concern about the Panthers defense. I can't look at the depth chart or the projected starting lineup and find a single starter on defense that I think the Panthers could survive an injury to. And you know it's gonna happen somewhere.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Looking for a big new game to play? Well, there's no game bigger than the new dino-sized Jurassic Park scratch-off from the North Carolina Education Lottery, which gives you a chance to win up to $200,000 instantly. And if that weren't enough, you can enter for a chance to win an exciting trip to beautiful Hawaii, where you could win up to $1 million. Welcome to Jurassic Park. Adventure awaits. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning are 1 in 4.28. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
You worked hard for your 401k, but if you've left your job, your money might be sitting in the wrong hands. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and it's very possible that the 401k that you have had for years has hidden fees and limited investment choices. But if you're no longer with the company, that 401k may be at the mercy of your former employer. All of these things could be costing you thousands. Rolling over your 401k into an IRA can provide better investment options that align with your long-term goals. At Trajan Wealth, we're fiduciary advisors that are held to a higher standard with no hidden agenda and no hidden fees. Don't let your retirement dollars sit in an old plan, and don't roll it over to your new plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. Call Trajan today, 919-200-4000. That's 919-200-4000.
Advisory services are offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
It's bow time. Something new just dropped at Bojangles. Take the bold taste of a crispy golden chicken supreme that's been seasoned to perfection, then add dill pickles, Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, and a toasted bun that's great on the go. What do you get? You get a Bo's Bird Dog. In fact, you can grab 2 of them for $5. So when you're on the go, headed to practice, or need a snack, grab a Bo's Bird Dog. Hurry in before they're gone, available for a limited time. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time.
but sometimes it's go time. No time to stop, but the perfect time for a Bojangles Bird Dog. A seasoned to perfection Bojangles Chicken Supremes, dill pickles, and Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, all tucked inside a toasted bun. Great on the go. Try 2 Bird Dogs for just $5 or 2 Bird Dog Combo for just $8.25. Available for limited time only. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's Bo time.
Welcoming you back to appointment day at the Martinez house. Raul Martinez looking stressed about scheduling a colon cancer screening, but he just pledged to get screened.
Stand Up to Cancer and Optum want to help you reduce your risk for cancer. Visit takeahealthystand.org.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Workers' comp can be tricky, but my law firm will be on top of all the complicated paperwork and sneaky deadlines so that all of your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. If you've been hurt on the job, I'm on top of it. Contact us at ritchielaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Adam Gold here. Well, not really. It is a best of the Adam Gold show. You might have heard this before, but if you haven't and you are interested in television, especially sports television, this conversation with John Orand of Puck News is right up your alley on the best of the Adam Gold show.
Been a big stretch for ESPN. We saw the news this week where the worldwide leader has essentially swallowed NFL Network whole. It includes Red Zone, includes some IP, it includes NFL Network's fantasy football operation. NFL owns 10% now of ESPN. And today they announced a deal with WWE for $325 million a year to stream big events. It's all part of Flagship, the app. John Orand from Puck joining us on the Adam Gold Show. Orand_Puck. Sir, how you doing? I know you're doing better right now than the Orioles and the Mets, who, by the way, are in a tailspin. How you doing?
The Mets are in first place.
Yeah,
man.
no, we're struggling, laboring, and getting beat today.
I'd love to be struggling in first place. This has been, I think you know this, I'm a lifelong Orioles fan.
Yeah.
This is the worst season I've ever experienced because I never have I had expectations up here, but we're one of the worst teams in the league. It's terrible. It's been a terrible watch. It's ruined my whole summer.
First of all, I'm very sorry for that. I was in the D.C. area when they started 0-21, was it?
Yeah, even then, like we knew back then, I knew the Orioles weren't going to be good. 0-21 was a little extreme, but it was like,
a little.
It was. This one, like we lived through. I know I'm not on to talk about the Orioles, but my rant is that they hit bottom, and so they tried to convince the fan base, like it's okay to lose 110 games a season for 4 straight seasons. There's going to be a payoff at the end.
Right.
Well, the payoff was 2 seasons where we didn't even win 1 playoff game, not even one, and now they're asking for another reset. Like it's asking for a lot of a fan base, I think.
There's no question about it. It is. It kind of exposes less than ideal management. Is what it does for me. I have a good friend of mine who's an Orioles fan, and I said a couple of years ago when he says, should we go after Shohei Ohtani? I said, absolutely. Pays for himself. Now, he was probably only going to go to the Dodgers, but a player like Ohtani, you could pay him whatever you wanted. It would have been a profit. He would have made the money back. The Dodgers are way ahead. Of course, most of that money is deferred. Let's get to other subjects. John Orand, Puck News, Orand_Puck on Twitter. So walk us through what ESPN has done really the last, 3 or 4 days. Obviously, a lot more has gone into it than just the last 3 or 4 days, but the announcement with NFL Network, Red Zone, other IP properties there, and now with WWE. This is all about Flagship, the app, which apparently will be available on my birthday on August 21st.
Happy early birthday. By the way, that was an excellent question because people are like, what's going on? And it's so hard to nail it down. And because there have been such a flurry of announcements coming out from the launch date. As you said, if they did a deal with the NFL, that's a really convoluted deal. Then they did a deal with the WWE. But the way that you asked that question was so perfect because it's all of this comes back to Flagship, the direct-to-consumer app that they're launching on August 21st. And what ESPN really wants to do and is really trying to do is amass as much programming as it can in order to have their direct-to-consumer app get as many subscribers as it can. So it did a deal with the NFL, which will enable it to sort of bring the NFL Network into that app. It'll enable it to bring some added NFL programming into that app. During the season, you will be able to watch NFL Red Zone through that app. You'll have to do it through a subscription to NFL Plus, so it'll be a sort of an upsell to it. It's not going to be a standalone in the app, but you can still, if you're within the app, you have access to those games as well. And at the same time, they did a deal for the WWE where they're going to have WrestleMania and SummerSlam and Royal Rumble and all what used to be pay-per-view events for WWE, and all of that is designed to get these WWE fans to come to the app and spend $30 a month in order to get access to it. And one thing that Jimmy Pitaro, who of course is the head of ESPN, knows is that Peacock had those WWE events. Yep. Peacock, of course, is owned by NBC, and their executives always talked about how the WWE fan is loyal, fanatical, and most importantly, willing to spend a monthly on a streaming subscription service. So all of these deals, and it's just such a flurry of them, are all based on the coming launch of the direct-to-consumer app.
With everything, John Oran from Puck is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. With everything that ESPN hopes to have available through that app, I'm guessing access to college basketball, the NBA, the NHL, which they also deal with the NHL Center Ice Package. I don't know if it's still called that, where you can watch out-of-market games. I'm sure there's an upcharge for that too. But is all of that going to be available for $30?
That's the whole plan. If you want to watch certain things, there's going to be an upcharge. But one of the things that the WWE did that was so smart was they didn't want to be like boxing, which took all of its big events pay-per-view, and it ended up killing boxing. So it took its big events. It separated them out from, WWE Raw or, some of their Just TV rights deals that they had. And they basically made it free to subscribers of Peacock. So you didn't have to do any upsell. So all of the WWE fans now are used to that system. So when they sold to ESPN, they made sure that it was going to be free to people in the app. So if you buy the app, you're going to be able to get those at no added cost, because they think that if they put an added cost on it, they would lose just a lot of the goodwill that they've gotten over the past 5 years with that Peacock deal.
John Oran is joining us here in the Adam Gold Show. Yes, this is all about the app, but how much of ESPN's relationship with the NFL is tailored towards maybe getting more games for them? Because the NFL Network, ESPN now essentially owns and operates NFL Network. I'm assuming they get those morning games from Europe, yes?
Yeah, so it's going to not necessarily the morning games from Europe, but NFL Network does have some games. A lot of times they are the morning games from Europe, but they also have like a Saturday, like is it a doubleheader or a tripleheader late in the season. So ESPN has those games. They also got a couple of added games, and a lot of what your listeners are reading is about, and it's true. The NFL is the most powerful programming in the world for TV, for streaming. It gets the 100. All these executives know this off the top of their head. 93 of the top 100 shows in terms of audience on television in the United States were NFL games last year, be it regular season or playoffs. So it's good for ESPN to be in bed, so to speak, with the NFL. I mean, they're business partners beyond what they have ever been before. By the same token, I don't think this necessarily means the NFL is going to have an out in 2029. It doesn't mean that ESPN is certainly going to be renewing its deal. We just went through the NBA deal, Adam, where Turner was running NBA TV for the NBA and still couldn't work out a deal. So they were business partners. So it makes it likely. I would be shocked if ESPN didn't do it, but it's not 100% certain.
That would be interesting. Look, I'm just glad that the NFL is going to have programming on ESPN during the summer now, because they never do. I believe we're going to get a 30 for 30 on the 30 greatest long snappers in NFL history. John Orand, Puck News, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Real quick, because I saw a blurb on your Twitter feed at @Orand_Puck that there's a small cable outfit in Ohio that has dropped ESPN programming and FanDuel Sportsnet. That's how we get the Hurricanes here. How some people get the Braves or the Hornets as well. Will everything that's going on here and the flagship, which is coming in a couple of weeks, will that in some ways be reflected in, like, I'm a Spectrum customer. I used to be a YouTube TV customer. Or for people who are, DirecTV or Dish, will the flagship impact that at all?
I think it will impact that a lot because that small cable operator, it's called Buckeye Cable Operator, just has about I think it's 150,000 subscribers in the Toledo area. So it's a very small cable operator. But small cable operators are ones that are really feeling the effects of cord cutting, and the prices for programming keep going up. Their subscriber base is dropping, and they're the ones that are really feeling it. So you have Cable One. I think they're in Arizona. They decided it's a cable company. They're just not doing video. They decided they're going to make more money selling broadband and selling telephone and going into mobile, and video just it's a loss leader, and they don't need video. The good news for you and for your listeners, if they're Spectrum subscribers, is that Spectrum actually started a new deal that's become sort of state of the art in the cable area, where you're going to have access to this ESPN app if you're a Spectrum bundled subscriber at no extra cost. Because Spectrum wanted to make sure that if we're spending as much as ESPN wants us to spend for ESPN and ESPN2 and ESPNU and all ESPN News, all those ESPN shows, SEC Network, ACC Network, well, we want to make sure that we get access to the app as well. And so that's part of the system. So when ESPN and Disney, when Bob Iger says we're not trying to get Adam Gold out talk him from being a bundled subscriber, we want him to stay a bundled subscriber. We just want to get the cord cutters and the cord nevers. I actually believe them because they're doing these deals to try to keep you in the bundle and still give you access to the app.
And that is why I am now a Spectrum subscriber. And I get other apps as well. Paramount, I have access to, Peacock, Netflix, all of those. So real quick as we close, because I've already kept you longer than probably you wanted, the CBS deal. And by the way, I listened to The Varsity. Your podcast is a must for people who are interested in the media industry. It is outstanding. I listened to the Sally Jenkins conversation this morning, and I listened to almost all of Don Van Natta, that story is fascinating. But you opened, I believe, that podcast with the CBS, with the fact that CBS they're not going away. They are not getting out of sports. With everything that they've done, the news division separate from everything here. But in terms of sports, CBS might become even a bigger player, you think?
I think it's possible. Here's the thing with Paramount is that the studio is in upheavals. CBS News, there's so many fires to be put out there, from the 60 Minutes and the settlement that they had to make with the White House and everything. Yeah. Everything seems to be on fire. What's not on fire is CBS Sports, which has been slowly building up its rights portfolio. It has European soccer and alongside the NFL and the Masters, and they produce big ratings. They're well liked and well respected. They do good deals, and it's just professionally run. And so, if you talk to any of the Skydance folks, and they're the ones that are purchasing Paramount, they're not going to touch CBS Sports. They're going to meddle with CBS News. They're going to meddle with the studio entertainment, of course, I didn't even get into. But CBS Sports, it's going to continue to go. And the people that are overseeing CBS Sports, like Jeff Shell is the executive's name, season ticket holder to the Dodgers, big sports fan, and the guy, when he was with Fox back in the late 90s, actually created the whole regional sports network system in terms of Fox owning a whole bunch of different regional sports networks. I would bet that CBS is going to be a big player in sports over the next couple of years.
Could they go in for Major League Baseball that needs some coverage coming up?
I would think so, because one of the things about Major League Baseball is Fox has the postseason now, but Fox also has a ton of Big Ten games, has a ton of Big 12 games. They already have a ton of college football, so they don't need the postseason baseball in the fall. CBS, they don't have as much college football there, so they kind of do need it a little bit more. So that's something I would keep my eye on.
John Orand at Orand_Puck. Sir, it was an honor. Good luck to your Orioles the rest of the way. More so, good luck to them next year and beyond. But we'll talk to you before next year and beyond.
I hope so. I can't think of the last time I've come on your show. I don't do it nearly often enough, so I appreciate every ask I get on this, Adam.
You got it, John. I'll hit you up often.
Have a good one.
Take care, John Orand. He is tremendous. The podcast that I was listening to, it's called The Varsity, and he's just a sports correspondent for Puck. It's as media has changed. As we go into, newspapers have lessened and whatnot, and it's part of the reason I wanted to listen to Sally Jenkins, because she just left the Washington Post, one of the great columnists in the country. She's now going to the Atlantic. But it just covers the stuff that matters to us, the consumer, a lot. You would think that they're insider things, but nah, man. These are things that you as a consumer probably should be aware of. So if you are a sports fan, what's going on with the ESPN app called Flagship, that's a big deal. If you're a wrestling fan, now you know with an app where you're going to be able to find these things. So Varsity is a dynamite listen. John's great. When we come back on this Best of the Adam Gold Show, the one, the only, Chip Patterson to talk college football. A lot of ACC win totals here. Next.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and I know the hurricane season came to an end. Another year with a loss to Florida in the Eastern Conference Finals, 2 of the last 3. But it's been a great year, and it's going to be a great summer with all that cap room the Hurricanes have. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, from free agency to trades to the draft. We'll have player interviews, special sit-down with Rod Brindamore that he doesn't even know about yet. He'll do it, don't worry. Just stay tuned to the Canes Corner podcast on YouTube. Search Canes Corner and wherever you get your podcasts.
In case you didn't notice, it's a Friday and the sun is coming out. I'm Victoria Vodnecker here from 99.9 The Fan for Law Tigers, and Mother Nature tried to trick us with the fake fall, but we know better than that. It is about to get hot again, but the sun is coming out, which makes it perfect to take the bike out this weekend, go on a little adventure somewhere, but no one wants to get into a wreck, but sometimes it happens, unfortunately. And if you're ever in an accident on your motorcycle, make sure to call my friends at Law Tigers first before calling your your insurance company. At Law Tigers, they're just like us. They're riders too. They know the value of your bike, your gear, the investment that you've made, and what it's like to go through an accident. The insurance company just wants to pay you the least amount possible. So case evaluations at Law Tigers are always free, and you're not going to pay a dime until your case is settled. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
New to the area? Let me be the first to welcome you. I'm Marcy Bailey of Bailey's Fine Jewelry. We've been family-owned and part of North Carolina since 1948. We have a tradition of being voted the best jewelry store with an unparalleled selection of designer jewelry, fine diamonds, engagement rings, watches, and gifts to commemorate all your special occasions. We look forward to sharing our award-winning service and stunning jewels with you. Visit us today in-store or at baileybox.com to see why every woman wants a Bailey box.
And we're back talking all things connectivity with Spectrum customers Kev and Melissa. So tell us, how long have you been with Spectrum and how important is a reliable internet connection?
We've been Spectrum customers since we moved 12 years ago. The first thing we did is sign up for Spectrum Internet.
You get a lease, you get it Wi-Fi.
Yes,
immediately.
We need that. We had Spectrum Wi-Fi before our couch got here.
That's true. That's a true story.
I'll sleep on the floor, but I won't go to bed with no internet.
You heard it here. Switch to Spectrum now.
Hey girl, haven't seen you downtown lately.
Nope, sticking to our go-to places.
You mean like Sharky's?
Well, we love our Sharkies. Best wings and gumbo on the planet. But we never miss the $5 sangrias on Wednesdays at the new Salt and Lime and Mexican pints on Thursdays for $3.
You know, my boy loves the House of Hops. No better selection of craft beer in the state. Loves their specials, their food trucks, and you know I love my wine. They have a wonderful selection.
And have I told you about our new takeout spot, Che Empanadas? It's right next to Sharky's. They have 20 different types of authentic Argentinian empanadas, and they are incredible, especially the breakfast ones. You gotta try it.
Sounds perfect. And how awesome is it that they're so close to each other?
Oh, it's perfect, all right.
Give them a try. Che Empanadas, House of Hops, Salt and Lime, and Sharky's. Just a hop, skip, and a jump from each other off Durley Road, Glenwood, and Grove Barton.
It's back to school season, and Clorox is donating 2 million disinfecting wipes to classrooms across America. Because back to school means things can get a little bit messy. Just ask second grade teacher Mr. Torres.
Put me and just one Clorox wipe on a team? We can take on crayon smudges, sticky fingerprints on every surface, sneezes on the door handle, juice box explosion by the sink, snack crumbs, and don't even get me started on the bathroom passes.
Clorox disinfecting wipes. Teacher's #1 wipe.
Think about it. Bathroom passes.
Clean feels good. Based on unit sales data.
Adam Gold here, and this is a Best of the Adam Gold Show. Let's get right to it. Chip Patterson, college football, let's go.
Chip Patterson, CBSSports.com, Cover 3 podcast joins us on the Adam Gold Show. Sir, when I was looking at State, Carolina, and Duke's schedule, I came up with the same record for all 3 teams. I came up with 8-4. For all 3 teams. They're to me, they're all manageable schedules. I personally think Duke's the best of the 3 teams, but we could be sitting here at the end of the season and saying the same about North Carolina or NC State. So let's start with the Tar Heels. What's your expectation for what they will do?
My expectation is 8-4. You know, that would be over the win total of 7.5.
Right.
I think that they've got maybe the most favorable draw among the conference draw in the entire ACC. You know, if you were doing scheduled difficulty 1 through 17 and only looking at the conference draw, then, well, shoot, even if you do non-conference, because they avoid Notre Dame as well.
Right.
So Clemson comes to Chapel Hill, and you get a bye week before and a bye week after. So, you know, at times we've seen teams in the ACC, you get beat up by Clemson, and then the physicality takes such a toll that the next week it's cost you a little bit. And that is about everything that you would want to draw up for year 1 of Bill Belichick, because they do not have a significant advantage against the rest of the ACC teams on their schedule. But they are also not going to be outclassed by anybody on their schedule from a talent perspective, except for Clemson. So that's when you have to understand that when you're trying to flip a coin, you're not going to get all heads every single time that
Right.
you want heads. when you're playing roulette, you're not going to get all the blacks or reds every single time you bet blacks or reds. And so in the wash, if they split their coin flip games as I see it, they come out 8-4. Now, which of those four I've got them losing to Clemson. Which of those three are the coin flip wins? Which of those three are the coin flip losses? Very difficult for me to be able to tell. But I think that in terms of the team that will take the field, will be better defensively than they were under Mac Brown and Larry Fedora, which, of course, is nowhere to go but up.
Not hard.
And offensively, I'll tell you, here's what I've come around on. I think that they're going to be able to run the football. Davion Goss, who get ready for this one, because there's just a whole trail of played with Jeremiah Smith. NC State quarterback C.J. Bailey played with Jeremiah Smith. UNC running back Davion Goss played with Jeremiah Smith. There's another wide receiver who played with Jeremiah Smith. That Chaminade prep is going to get plenty of run when we talk about the many degrees of separation, the Kevin Bacon of college football.
Nice.
That is Jeremiah Smith. I think that him and Caleb Hood, an offensive line that has gotten bigger, I think they're going to run the football. They're going to play good defense. I think that games are going to look a little bit like NFL games, where it's going to be entering the fourth quarter, 7 to 10 point games, maybe a little bit lower scoring. And that's where you hope that coaching staff is going to be able to give them an advantage to take it over the top, or Gio Lopez really emerges as a dynamic playmaker. So North Carolina stylistically will look very different, but the win-loss record will look eerily similar to what they had before.
And like I talked about this yesterday, I know Bill is doing Bill things, like saying, we're not really sure. It's an open competition. Like, they paid Gio Lopez enough money to get here from South Alabama. I can't imagine that they start the season and Max Johnson, no offense to Mac Johnson, I just can't imagine that Gio Lopez is not the starter unless he doesn't play well at all in the preseason, run up to the start of the season. Here's the way I looked at their schedule. I say, all right, home against TCU, at Central Florida, the two non-conference games that I'll just put in a losable category. I think they can split those. Probably, I don't think they'll go 0-2. In some ways, I'll be surprised if they go 2-0 based on what I think I know about their talent. But 1-1 there. I have them losing to Clemson, losing at Syracuse, and then beating Duke, losing to NC State on the road. Maybe they flip it. I don't know. But to me, that adds up to 8-4. Does that make any sense?
Oh, 100%. Because, we started this looking at Duke, NC State, and North Carolina. I think Duke is the team I've got the most confidence in of the three, but they also faced maybe the toughest schedule of the three and could end up with similar or maybe a one-game off record from the other ones. And so I think that the Blue Devils are further ahead, obviously, than North Carolina. And I keep having this comment rattling around my skull. Manny Diaz pointed out correctly that if you are a senior, you've seen 26 wins in 3 years.
Yeah.
You've rushed the field multiple times. The idea of Duke football being a winning program, winning product, if you're a senior on that campus, that is the expectation. And I think that that's why what we've seen from Manny Diaz in terms of being able to maintain that standard in year one, I think they're going to carry that over to this year. That has become, until I'm proven otherwise, my expectation for Duke football. They retain talent at a really high level. They are very, very experienced. And the thing that, I was talking with my colleague Tom Fernelli about this in the part one. I mean, Duke doesn't have players on its defense that are good for Duke. Duke's got some of the best players in the ACC in the secondary.
They do.
I really think that's when you're looking at North Carolina and the Duke State, splitting it seems right. I couldn't tell you which one would go in terms of whether it would be like win against State, lose against Duke, win against Duke, lose against State. I could see either one of them.
Chip Patterson is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. I think the real pivotal game for them will be the game, against Illinois, right?
For Duke, yeah.
To me, that's the game that'll tell us what we can expect for the rest of the season.
terms like a great measuring stick game. I would also say that going to New Orleans to beat that Tulane team will be a challenge where I think it is a good enough opponent road where you might be their Super Bowl, right? Like to look at Tulane's schedule and the Green Wave under John Summerall are thinking about trying to be the highest ranked Group of 5 champion to make the college football playoff at the end of the year. A win against Duke could be a big part of winning that debate.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tulane is not as big of a deal to do what Duke wants to accomplish this year as Duke is to Tulane. So Illinois, Tulane, the first couple weeks of the season, how they handle, in addition to the results, but how they handle those two challenges, I think will tell me a lot.
Chip Patterson joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. As for State, I have them 8-4 as well. I have all three of these teams 8-4, but State's schedule, while on the surface doesn't appear as difficult, I think is the trip to Duke. They play at Notre Dame, at Pitt, home against Georgia Tech, at Miami. I mean, those are right there. Those are 5 losable games for them, as is the game against Carolina. It might be hardest for NC State to win 8.
Yeah, I think that this is a Wolfpack team that certainly is going to be in the postseason, but I don't know how much more I am confidently willing to step beyond that. The way that the back half of the schedule lays out, they need to make sure that they aren't taking a lot of injuries, especially when we talk about the defensive side of the ball. You know, you bring in DJ Elliott to be the new coordinator after Tony Gibson left, but I'm even concerned about the way that defense took a step back when Tony Gibson was still there last year. You know, it went from being a strength to being a weakness. And so does a change of coordinator and a few new pieces in terms of personnel allow that group to take a step forward? Because second half of the schedule, if they are a little bit banged up and taking some injuries and now all of a sudden it's hard to get stops. Now you're getting stuck in shootouts. It could get a little bit hairy. There is enough offensive firepower on this team with C.J. Bailey, Noah Rogers, Justin Joe Lee, Hollywood Smothers. Like, they can go out there and put up points, and I think they will. I'm excited to see if they can be better. This is a great note. God, Dave Doran said, "Can you tell I'm excited, Adam?
Yeah.
Can you tell I'm excited about the football season?"
Yeah.
So Dave Doran, he already had his counterpunch ready. He said, you know, we talk a lot about the offense, but he said we were awful with our first half offense, which means that he's really, I mean, of course he is. He's the football coach.
Yeah.
But, like, he's gone under the hood to say, look, our offense was explosive by the end of a game and had good stats by the end of a game, but we were putting ourselves behind the 8 ball with our inability to score early.
Yep.
So now we know that room for improvement. Like, can that group get off to faster starts and better starts? And I think that could be a big piece of this, because then you don't need necessarily to be scoring a bunch of points in the fourth quarter to kick down a back door. You can really try to control a football game by holding a lead and scoring early. Makes life easier on your defense, complimentary football, yada, yada, hit the bingo board. But I think that the Wolfpack at least have the weapons to do that.
Yeah, I forget who I was having this conversation with yesterday. College football stopped being about how great your defense was, I don't know how many years ago. It's about how many points you score. I mean, it's really what it is. There are very few teams that win based on their defense. Your offense Georgia, Alabama, all these powerhouse teams, yeah, they have great defenses, but they post 40 points just about every week. And so their defense doesn't have to be that great. It just has to be great when it needs to be. And State has yet to embrace we are putting up a 40 spot every week. And it's hard to do every week, but that they need to be explosive offensively. C.J. Bailey doesn't have to be great. He doesn't have to be one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league. But if he's good, I think State has the horses to score a lot of points. But the schedule is a little bit more challenging. I know you guys also talked about, as Chip Patterson is joining us here in the Adam Gold Show, the coaches poll that came out on Monday. We'll get the media poll in a few days. Now, I think next Monday it's supposed to come out. Did you have beef with anything you saw in the coaches poll?
You know what I did? I went through and I tried to predict what it was going to be.
Right.
You know, and just to read you like some pieces of my prediction when I went through. Let's see, at number 12, some SEC team I haven't gotten to yet. Number 13, I guess Michigan, ? Number 17, finally a Big 12 team because I haven't picked one yet. Number 22, Boise, because voters will forget Genty got drafted. 24, oh crap, forgot about Indiana. 25, Kansas State Shore. Yeah, that'd be like you just anything. Look, how about this? Outside of the top 9, I'll believe. Miami's sitting there at 10, sure. Miami could be the 10th best team in the country. They might be the 33rd best team in the country.
Right.
I really see the smallest differentials. So what are you doing? How do you rank these things? Because we released the CBS Sports 136 this week on the site, and I will tell you that my ballot, as I fill it out in August for that ranking, is definitely more of a best than a most deserving. It is not a prediction of where you will end up at the end of the season. I'm not trying to do that. It is a starting grid. It is a starting point based on your talent on the roster. So inherently, the way that I view these things, a team like Florida is going to be overrated. They are going to be ranked highly because they've got NFL draft picks on the offensive and defensive line. They've got a quarterback in DJ Lagway who, when he's healthy, is really, really good. And so I've got them higher. But ultimately, they're probably going to go 7-5 or 8-4 and not finish as highly as they are. In the coaches poll, for those who didn't see, the Florida Gators are 17. That is why when it's a ton of SEC teams in a preseason poll, Texas A&M is another great example. We know Texas A&M is going to go Texas 8-4, but like I just understand that because of the talent that they've accumulated, like one of the highest blue chip ratios in the SEC. Yeah, sure, throw them up in the top 25. They'll lose once, they'll fall down to 23, they'll lose twice, they'll fall out of the rankings, and they won't finish. Like that is okay with me. You talk about preseason rankings being about entertainment. I am fine with preseason rankings just being about talent, and then as we work our way through the season, it goes from best to most deserving.
Chip, I'll talk to you next week. Take care.
Y'all be well.
More college football when we come back. Our first conversation in quite some time with wine aficionado and Duke radio analyst Dave Harding. Next.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
As the health director in Haywood County and a nurse here in North Carolina, I can tell you that the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline saves lives.
No matter your struggle, you are not alone. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is free, private, and always available.
988 Lifeline counselors are ready 24/7 to speak with you, help you cope, and get you connected to the support that is right for you.
988, the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline.
Call, text, or chat 988 24/7. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
Are you taking care of someone on Medicare? Navigating Medicare can be overwhelming. You're not alone. The NC Department of Insurance SHIP program can help you figure out what steps to take and when. SHIP counselors can answer your questions. Visit ncship.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. SHIP provides free, unbiased help in all 100 counties.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
North Carolina ranks second in the nation in potential agricultural land lost by the year 2040. The NC Forever Farms program supports the preservation of family farms through permanent agricultural conservation easements and has received a record number of applications for 3 straight years. Landowners interested in preserving their working farm through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services can learn more by visiting ncadfp.org.
Ask any college student. If it wasn't for the last minute, lots of assignments wouldn't get done. So if you haven't figured out your plan for college and how to pay for it yet, don't worry, you've still got time. And with the next NC scholarship, you can still get money money to pay for most or all of your tuition. To apply, just fill out your FAFSA and you could get $3,000 for community college or $5,000 for public university, and possibly more. See how easy it is to apply at nextncscholarship.org.
Make this your best summer yet by having fun while staying active and engaged. AARP can help. Find AARP events near you by visiting aarp.org/local. That's aarp.org/local to find both in-person and virtual events. You can also learn more about living your best life by listening to AARP Without Limits, wherever you listen to your podcasts.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Open the lid on a carton of Bluebell Homemade in the Shade, and you'll have it made, so to speak. It's a combination of our top-selling homemade vanilla ice cream with a swirl of rich chocolate fudge sauce. Enjoy an instant classic.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
As a school nurse, I feel like we're really that contact for the schools between the Department of Public Health and what goes on in the school system.
The face of the Department of Public Health in our school is our nurse, Nurse Emma. All the communication that she was receiving and direction she was receiving, she made sure to communicate with us and be a wonderful partner with us.
These kids need their routines.
NC Public Health. Everywhere, every day, everyone.
Finally, on this Best of the Adam Gold Show, we saved the best for last. The one, the only Dave Harding, Duke Radio Network, on the Blue Devils this upcoming season.
Just went to ACC football kickoff in Charlotte about 2 weeks ago, and it was made so much less fun because my friend Dave Harding, Duke Radio Network, he's got some fancy title that I don't know off the top of my head, was not there. Duke was there, but no Dave Harding. So I had a big frown on my face because I didn't see my friend Dave. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. I actually got a call from the folks that organized that event. Yeah, everybody's going through budget cuts. They were looking to save like $10,000 on lunch expenses, and they couldn't have me come out there.
You are.
That's usually the whole reason I go is because for the churros or something.
They're usually pretty good, yeah. Food at the Hilt was very good. Yeah.
I missed you. I missed the opportunity to have lunch there.
Yeah.
But I'm excited that we're talking now because that means we're just chatting with Victoria. It's despite the false fall and all that. It's football time, whether you're ready or not, and it's my favorite time of the year without question.
August 28th. So 3 weeks from today. Elon is at Wallace Wade Stadium to kick it all off. And there are, I'll let you tell me what you think the expectations are for Duke football. Duke always goes under the radar because, Duke. But 9-4 last year, probably should have won 10. That SMU game probably should have been a win. I think we can all remember circumstances around that. That should have been a win. 8 wins the year before, 9 wins the year before that. It's a pretty good run for Duke football. But tell me your thoughts going into the game against Elon.
Yeah, I think expectations should be high. I was out at practice yesterday. It is the cleanest and crispest looking group that I've seen. And by that, I mean they're organized. People are where they need to be in practice. There's high energy, not a ton of mistakes. And it feels good. And as a player, that actually does wonders and kind of it can snowball in a positive way where you're stacking these really good practices, you're building your confidence as you head into the season. And I think a lot of that comes off of what you just said, several years of achieving at a pretty high level. So the expectations internally are high, but I think externally as well, people are anticipating, gone are the days of will Duke be bowl eligible. It's now making a push for the college football playoff. It's making a push to be playing in the ACC championship game, and you can feel it during the month of August in the prep work leading up to the Elon game. And I think from there, Coach Diaz, he's very honest with the team and what he tells them. He's absolutely a player's coach in that he's got their best interest at heart. He expresses that over and over, but he's also going to shoot them straight. And I think it's about taking it one game at a time. Beyond that, that's very much his mantra of just I'll use a food example again, don't bite more than you can chew. And let's go ahead and take on what we know we need to handle during this month in prep leading up to Elon and focus on them first and foremost, because when you talk about what you have to chew on, there's a heck of a lot of challenges the rest of the way when you look at the schedule that Duke has, especially, kicking off right away after Elon with Illinois, the potential top 15, maybe top 10 team coming to Wallace Wade Stadium.
Yeah, there are high expectations for Illinois. Also, the trip to Tulane, and we'll talk about Darian Mensah going back to where he came from. Those two games, Tulane is one of those teams that has been mentioned as a group of five, I guess group of six, I don't know, group of five schools that could be pushing for a playoff spot because they obviously have high expectations there. And you mentioned Illinois. We'll talk about that in a second. One of the things that Dave Harding is joining us from the Duke Radio Network. One of the things that Coach Diaz has talked about a lot, I've talked about it with him, but I've heard it all over the place, is Duke's ability to retain players in an era where your roster turns over a lot, both ways, in and out. Duke has been able to retain a lot of their players, and he actually said that he thought that Duke, as a school, is in many ways the reason why the players who came here don't leave. Yes, there's football to be thought of, but they play good football, and a lot of these players have come here for more than football. I'm just curious your thoughts on, is he selling something there, or is there a lot of truth to that? Because they do have good players, and we're going to talk about them.
I think he's right. And I felt this as a player. The first couple years, I was part of David Cuckleff's first recruiting class, his first full class, started in 2009. And I bought into this promise and the expectation that we were going to turn things around. We ultimately did, finishing in 2013 with a 10-win season and a trip to the ACC championship game. But the first couple of years, we didn't. It was 3-9. We weren't making it to bowl games. And I started to look around. This is before the transfer portal was even a thing. But, hey, what would it be like if I transferred and went closer to home or played at a place that was having immediate success? And outside of my relationship with the coaching staff and the players, which exists in any locker room, it was the pull of school and the fact that I had gotten into this prestigious institution that otherwise, let's face it, I wouldn't have had a chance of even getting in the door. Why would I walk away from that? I've put a year or 2 years of hard work into the academics here. I'm that much closer to getting an incredibly valued degree. And ultimately, I think that was the decision that helped me close the door on any transfer talks and focus on staying here and knowing that this was the place I want to be. So it's interesting in talking about this with Manny Diaz. So many coaches can view Duke's academic requirements as an obstacle. And it definitely changes your ability to recruit. And I guess the pool that you're pulling from in the recruiting world, it narrows your focus. But what he would say is, that's the narrowing of a focus actually helps you be more deliberate in who you're going after. It's not chasing every 4 and 5 star that's on the market. It's okay. We can, when you're shopping online, you can click those filters and help narrow what you're looking at and as opposed to scrolling through hundreds of pages of what's available. And essentially that's what he's saying is a benefit at Duke. And then once you get those players in here, it helps keep you here because it's hard to get in. It is a very special place outside of the admission standards. If this is a place that I think it draws in other very like-minded or elite individuals that are dedicated to what they want to do long-term. And that helps create this environment that people want to be a part of. So it has helped. I mean, and that's going to pay off big time for Duke this year. I mean, Chandler Rivers is a perfect example of it. The corner for the Blue Devils, All-American. I mean, depending on who you talk to, has a very good chance of being a first-round draft pick for this coming season. I'm sure that, and I truly don't have specifics, but that there were conversations of other schools trying to pull him away, and Duke was able to retain him. So it's a mix between the investment from an NIL perspective, because Duke is definitely still playing in that game. They're invested in that. They acknowledge that has to be a big piece of it. But I think when you talk about the retention, it's the total comp package that our employers throw around all the time. And a big part of that is the brand and the academic pull that Duke University has.
Dave Harding is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. All right, you mentioned Rivers. Terry Moore is another guy. Wesley Williams and other. They have legitimately good players on the defensive side of the ball. And we'll, if we have time, we'll get back to that. But I want to go to quarterback because Malik Murphy was a guy they brought in a year ago. And based on what I kind of think I know, that they sort of went, I think we're going to upgrade. And they just basically encouraged him. Maybe they thought he was going to go anyway, but they sort of encouraged him to go elsewhere, and he's apparently doing well out at Oregon State. But Darian Mensah comes in from Tulane. He's big. He's got a strong arm. He's a good athlete. Talk to me about how he fits. And again, we already talked about the schedule. The early part of the schedule is not easy. But how does Darian Mensah look to you?
I think it's the perfect fit. And part of that crisp, kind of high energy focused look at practice that I talked about having seen when I've been down there comes from him. And I was blown away by the way that he engages with his teammates. You hear about a guy that, is recruited heavily. Obviously there's conversation around the NIL deals that he was offered or ended up accepting to come to Duke. He is 100% focused on the football piece and does not seem to be distracted by any of what a 18, 19, 20-year-old kid could be distracted by in this world of college football. He is going over and doing special handshakes with not just the starting offensive line, the walk-ons and the people that are kind of standing at the periphery. He comes by and says thank you to the folks that are attending practice. This guy says pro all over him, and he treats his approach to practice with a professional mindset. He's got an attention to detail. I have been very impressed by Darian Mensah, the person, and the way he handles himself. And that is outside of the fact that he's an incredibly special athlete. Great ball. And the big difference between what Mensah brings and what we saw with Malik Murphy last year is mobility and an ability to extend plays, to get out of the pocket. He can throw really well on the run. Murphy didn't have that. And I can tell you from experience as an offensive lineman, you are so much more limited. You're much more stressed out in pass blocking when you know that you kind of got this statue standing in the middle, and you've got to create really good pockets for them to be successful. Now, that is really not a knock on Murphy. He set Duke records, like we've said, successful year, 9 wins. But I think if you look at what Mensah brings, especially from the mobility standpoint and the leadership perspective, I think those 9 wins turn into 10, 11, maybe more if you had a guy like Mensah who can help extend plays and keep drives alive. and also just threaten the defense in multiple ways. This is a great pickup for Duke, and I think it's one of the in the day and age where there's so much talk about players moving around to benefit them. This is a good example of using the transfer portal if you're looking at it as a Duke fan, where you're bringing on an asset that immediately elevates your stock as a program and as a team. So Darian Mintz, a great acquisition during the offseason.
Dave Harding is joining us, Duke Radio Network. Just a couple of minutes left. So I want to do a rapid fire here. Jaquez Moore, running back. We know what we've got there. Dynamite player, explosive runner. Give me Higgins is back as well at receiver. Give me a receiver or two in 30 seconds that we're going to be focusing on all year.
Yeah, I think Cooper Barkate is a good one to look at. He's a transfer from Harvard and has really impressed me with his possession type reception skills. Really solid hands, athletic. Not necessarily going to blow you away with his athleticism, but I think he runs very good routes and is going to be a go-to target for Mensa come the fall. You mentioned Jaquez Moore. I think Peyton Jones needs to be in the mix. Several running backs in that room, but Peyton Jones impressed me last year with his ability to run the football, obviously, but we go back to like a game at Miami. He's catching passes up the seam, over defenders, kind of in lockstep. He's a good person to go to that can spread out a defense even more by getting a running back involved in the passing game. You mentioned Samir Higgins, Quayshawn Brown, or they call him Queso, very twitchy receiver, likely in the slot, going to be part of it. Andrew Anthony is a pickup that they brought in from Oklahoma in the transfer portal. He'll be at receiver. So some new names mixed in with a good amount of people who understand the expectations, have been playing at Duke for a long time. I think that bodes well for what you can expect from the Duke offense. And the offensive line returns a whole lot up front. So it's I don't know. I'm encouraged by what I've seen. Obviously, on paper, you see the familiar names. You look at what Duke's brought in from a transfer portal perspective, but also just in being out there, I think the energy is right, the attention to detail is right, to where this is the team that, as long as they stay healthy, could do some really special things this fall.
Yeah, 4 of 5 returning starters on the offensive line. Let's be honest, though, Queso is a cheesy nickname. I'll just leave it at that. Dave Harding. I apologize.
I'm eating it up.
Oh, man, I can't wait to talk to you next, which is going to have to be within the next 3 weeks, since the opener is 3 weeks from today. Dave Harding, I appreciate your time. Go do what you do, and I will talk to you soon.
Will do. Appreciate you having me on.
And that'll do it for us on the Best of the Adam Gold Show. This show was put together expertly by the one and only Rusty Elser, without whom I would be a lost soul. We'll see everybody next week on this Best of the Adam Gold Show.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
You've heard the perfect scores on air. We're bringing our